The meeting is now reconvened to open session. The board would like to remind the public that this meeting is being audio and video recorded. It is also available via live stream for the public through links found on the front page of the RUSD website. Trustee Hepp, will you please report out action taken in closed session?
Yes, so in closed session, the board voted to approve the motion to release Brian Fitzer from his .5 FTE administrative position as Program Specialist 2, Special Education, and reassign him to a .5 FTE RSP teacher position for the 25-26 school year, and provide him notice of this pursuant to Education Code Section 44951. The board also voted to approve the motion to release 3 classified employees from their positions pursuant to Education Code 45113. And the board voted to approve the motion to non-reelect 3 certificated employees pursuant to Education Code 44929.21. All votes were unanimous.
Thank you. Tonight we have Adriana Boyce, welcome, from Whitney High School as our student board representative. Adriana, would you please introduce the color guard and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the presentation of the colors by the Rocklin Unified School District's Junior ROTC Color Guard and the Pledge of Allegiance. The commander and U.S. flag bearer for this evening's color guard is Cadet Captain Titan Owens. The state flag is carried by Cadet Captain Sophia Burkhalter. The right guard is Cadet Colonel Clayton Hove. The left guard is Cadet Captain Madison Baker. The alternates for tonight are Cadet Captain Jade Plasinski and Cadet First Lieutenant Christopher Renner.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. We'll now move to our special recognition and presentations portion of the meeting. Marty Flowers, our Associate Superintendent of Secondary Education, will you please introduce our family partners in education recognition tonight?
President Price, Trustee, Superintendent Stock, it's my honor to come before you this evening. It's one of my favorite traditions we do here in Rocklin. The Rocklin Unified School District recognizes family engagement and involvement contribute to student success. Our USD values one of our families and recognizes them at each board meeting. This evening, it's my honor to introduce Victory High School Principal Scott Hutton. He'll recognize his family.
That's right. You can put me right up here. A little bit closer to me, or you want to just talk louder? Is that better? Okay, thank you very much. It's great to see you all tonight. President Price, Trustee, Superintendent Stock, I say this every time, that this is absolutely my most favorite time of year when we have the opportunity to do this, and tonight is no exception. At Victory High School, I've said this before, we have the good fortune of celebrating students and their success on a daily basis, but it isn't often that we have the opportunity to recognize our families for their hard work and dedication. So I just want to say, to be very, very clear, that tonight, this is much about appreciation as it is inspiration, and you'll know in a few minutes what I mean exactly by that. Tonight is my pleasure to introduce Janelle Smith, whose unwavering support and encouragement of her son, Nate, has played a vital and absolutely remarkable role in his improvement. And we're talking about academics, attendance, which of course are very important things, but also his personal character. Honestly, I'm digressing here for a moment, but unless you know him, it's difficult to speak to the transformation that he has experienced and all that she has had to persevere. Janelle and her 4 children have been Rocklin residents since 2002. Janelle's eldest daughter, Rachel, graduated from Victory High School in 2008. Love that. Madison and Grayson, Janelle's middle and youngest daughters, graduated from Rocklin High School in 2020 and 2022, respectively. Nate, the youngest of four, attended Breen, then moved on to Granite Oaks, then Rocklin High School, so truly homegrown, and is currently an exceptional student at Victory High School. Nate's journey, however, was not always that easy. Through most of the middle school and high school years, Nate struggled with attendance, academics, and socialization. There you go. And those were stemming primarily from a combination of a lack of confidence and also the difficult choice often that we make, and that's choosing our own path. Due to his credit status, Nate transferred to Victory High School, and despite those circumstances, I will be forever grateful that he did. Consistent with years past, Nate grappled with academics, social pragmatics, and attending school regularly, and this is his first year at Victory High School. Then Nate earned a 1.13 GPA, and regular attendance remained a challenge. However, with Janelle's aforementioned support and encouragement, Nate has turned the proverbial corner. Comparing last year to this, Nate's academics improved from a 1.13 GPA to a 4.0, which is really incredible, and he's continued that for the entirety of the year. This, coupled with his remarkable improvement in attendance, has positioned him perfectly to graduate this year, and we couldn't be more proud of that fact. Nate's commitment to his education and personal growth, is a testament to the values and guidance that Janelle has instilled in him. Her encouragement, perseverance, and belief in his potential has not only motivated him, but has also set a powerful example of a resilience and determination that really should inspire us all. If all of this wasn't enough to tell you just how amazing of an individual and a mother Janelle is, let me add that she has and continues to provide this unwavering support on her own, as she is a single parent. And for more reasons than I can recount, single parents have my utmost respect and admiration. They are the real superheroes in our lives. So thank you for that. For all that Janelle has done to ensure her son's academic and social emotional success, she is most deserving of tonight's recognition. So I thank you for this opportunity. You're welcome.
Thank you.
So, it's, for having handed this problem, sorry. So, no, that's just it's an amazing story, right? Like we all, again, we have amazing teachers in Rocklin, and they are a significant part of it, but it's that family component. It's being the mom, being the inspiration there, holding them accountable, pushing them forward, moving it through. And again, we can all say, oh, I remember those days, but it's a testament to the tribute, to the effort, to just the dedication to make that happen. So thank you for that. And again, moving him from a 1.0 to a 4.0, amazing. We're going to look forward to seeing him at graduation, and that's just a great feat. So thank you again. So there's that. Hang on to that. Now we got a picture. So let's go. Come on, everybody. Let's go.
Thank you so much. Item 5.2, Dr. McDonald, Associate Superintendent of Elementary Education, would you please introduce our employee recognition tonight?
Thank you, President Price. It is my honor to present our USD employee recognition this evening. Rocklin Unified is proud of the dedication of certificated and classified team members, demonstrating hard work and creating a safe and welcoming environment for all our staff and students in Rocklin. Tonight, I will be introducing Principal Jamie Iverson, who will introduce her exemplary employee, Angie Rathy.
Good evening, President Price, Board Trustees, and Superintendent Stock. I am actually going to have to read from this because we've already decided that this might be an emotional emotional speech, but here we go. So we're gonna go with this. So it is a great honor that I present Angie Rathie tonight as our library clerk. She is known for her positive energy, creativity, and unwavering dedication to fostering a love of reading. She goes above and beyond to make the library a welcoming, engaging space where students feel valued and excited to explore the world of books. Students eagerly visit the library not just to check out books, but to connect with Mrs. Rathie, who takes the time to build meaningful relationships with them. She gets to know each student personally, learning about their interests, reading levels, and favorite topics. Whether a child is searching for an adventurous tale, a book about a beloved hobby, or a challenge to expand their reading skills, Mrs. Rathie always provides thoughtful recommendations. Her enthusiasm makes reading an exciting journey rather than just an academic task. Beyond book selection, she creates an immersive literary experience. She organizes engaging projects and reading challenges that inspire students to set and achieve goals. Her reading clubs encourage students to push themselves while fostering a sense of accomplishment, and at the end, there's always a celebratory event. She decorates the library with inviting displays and even participates in our school-wide events like Trunk or Treat, where she handed out books instead of candy. Her latest project was called Hearts Around the World. Valentine's and kindness cards poured into the Twin Oaks office from all over the United States and the world. So once those cards came in, she had the students chart them on a map, and they learned about the states and also the countries from where the cards came from. Teachers and staff appreciate her dedication, creativity, and willingness to collaborate. She enhances literary initiatives, partners with teachers to support classroom learning, and brings enthusiasm to school-wide events. Her passion for literacy extends far beyond her role. She is a mentor and advocate for student success and a vital part of our school community. Through her kindness, innovation, and ability to inspire young readers, Mrs. Rathie has made a lasting impact. She is not just a library clerk, she is a champion of literacy and a treasured member of the Twin Oaks community. See, we made it without crying. I have nothing. And she also has her children here.
Angie, I happen to know that the librarian is the heart of the school, and it sounds like you take that job very seriously. And I know, too, that you're not just the heart of the school for the kids, but you're also the heart of the school for the staff, and I know how much they appreciate you. You're doing an absolutely invaluable, amazing job, and we are so lucky and fortunate to have you. Thank you so much for all that you do.
We want to thank you and your families for joining us. And while you're more than welcome to stay for the rest of the evening, we recognize you have busy lives, and so now is an okay time. If you'd like to leave, you're welcome to leave, but you're also welcome always to stay. All right, item 6.1, we don't have a report tonight from California School Employees Association, but we do from RTPA. Welcome, RTA President Travis Mauger.
Bill's over here warming up the crowd for me. Thank you, Bill. Appreciate you. Good evening, everybody. Happy March. It's crazy to think that it's already March, but the winter weather is back, so don't get too comfortable. I asked a student the other day if we were going to have spring, and he went into a long explanation of why we're going to have a long winter. There was a lot of biology and science in there, and I just reminded him I'm the social part of social science, so we'll leave it at that. But anyway, that's my welcome. So I'm going to start tonight with, I'm going to read a lot to you guys, so I won't make a lot of eye contact, but I'll work on my public speaking skills as best I can just to make my wife proud. So I had a lot of questions come to me in the last, I don't know, 2 weeks. And even more so that just kind of exponentially grew in the last probably 4 or 5 days. So questions that have come my way from members. Let me give you guys a little context. We held a State of the Union membership meeting last Thursday, just to kind of update everybody where we are. It's something we've had gotten away from and had moved to an online forum, and we moved back to an in-person forum we just held it last week. Huge shout out to Springview for letting us use their facility and making that happen for us. We appreciate that. And to our members from coming out, getting people together after school and in their personal time is not easy. So definitely thank you to the RTPA leadership team and the membership that showed up for that. But that meeting brought up a lot of questions. Part of that meeting, we had an agenda we wanted to discuss, kind of share where everything's at, kind of where the big topic to kind of kick off and focus was making sure everybody understood how and where we got to our financial settlement, because that was kind of the new fresh thing off the bargaining table and kind of in the forefront of everybody. That meeting led to some open dialogue, which was fantastic. More importantly, not just because it wasn't just me, it was a leadership team up there presenting and answering questions. And I know I shout her out all the time, but she's in the room tonight, so I want to shout her out while she's here. But Kate Kirk, our amazing elementary liaison, was able to stand up there with me and address both secondary and elementary questions along with me. And I can't tell you how powerful it is to have your elementary people finally feel like you're like winning them over as a secondary person. So Kate's way more likable, way more knowledgeable in their world, but it gives me some street cred with them to have her. So again, huge shout out to Kate. You're here. Thank you, Kate. People at home are clapping for you, hopefully. So it's okay if everybody wants to give a round of applause with me, but so. Anyway, shameless plug, but it's worthwhile. If you've got a chance to work with Kate, I know Bill, we talked about this before. It has been an invaluable opportunity for all of us. So anyway, back to my topic. So lots of questions came up. So we presented some information to members, and then the hands started raising. So I'm just going to kind of read topics and things. The gist of this is, why can't we afford blank? So I'm going to fill in the blanks for you guys. Why can't the district afford to prevent the reduction or cutting of learning recovery, or AST? Is that the current acronym? AST at the elementary level. Why are we losing math supports, whether it's classes, it's sections, it's people's resources, when it remains a top priority when it comes to the LCAP, when it becomes a goal and priority with our board? Why are we constantly looking to grow and expand our new and successful elementary music programs? Even newer this year, our rhythm and movement program for our K-3 counterparts. Why can't we expand that program? Why were we only offered one-time money rather than ongoing compensation? How come nothing's been done to address the ever-growing cost of benefits within the district, whether it's addressing the rates of benefits or the benefits cap? Why do we still have buildings that constantly seem to need repairs? What's being done to address the growing influx of TK students and lack of TK bathrooms on elementary campuses? How can we increase or sustain or just protect the current aid time in our elementary classrooms to help support the classrooms that need that extra support? Why doesn't it seem to be there's ever an answer for the ever-growing challenges of ELD students in our classes and supports for them? And then the one that's probably been around since the beginning of time is, why does there never seem to be an answer to address growing class sizes? I'll tell you right now, I don't have an answer to all these questions, but I know one of the resources, a lot of resources are limiting the answers, and a lot of them tie back to money, right? A lot of these things, at some point down their journey of addressing that problem, cost money. We all know money doesn't grow on trees. We all know that things are not endless and bottomless. So that leads into the next question that came up, is why are we looking at, and I'm going to reference tonight's agenda, we're looking at action item 9.7, which for those that don't know, that's the board's going to take legal action on a service agreement with Liberty Justice Center. And from the outside appearance, that looks to be an opportunity for free legal services to fight a fight that this board has chosen to fight for the last year and a half, 2 years now. But the question that came up specifically with that in the last 48 hours was in section 5, and I know the board's going to talk about this, so I'm putting this out there, so hopefully can it get addressed when we get to this agenda item. Section 5 of this agreement says, in the event opposing party is the prevailing party in this litigation, the opposing party may be awarded damages, their attorney fees, and costs for bringing this litigation. Liberty Justice Center, which is the, air quote, pro bono counsel, and any other counsel will not be liable to the client or the opposing party for any such award of damages, attorney fees, and cost. So if we can't address these educational needs that are happening in our classroom right now, why in the heck are we looking at anything that's got this surface level pro bono when it's right here in the black and white? When we lose in court, again, we're going to be spending district resources on things that have nothing to do with all of these needs that are in our classrooms right now. And many of these needs, we've been told from our board and from our district, these are priorities that need to be addressed: learning loss, learning recovery, facilities, all the things that I already listed. So I ask the same question, okay? Why are we continuing to play politics? Why aren't we serving students? Why aren't we serving teachers? Why aren't we serving the community needs of education? Because we're an educational institution. So I'm going to propose this idea, and just it's rhetorical. If you want to engage, I would hope you would. I'm used to standing up here and listening to my own voice, so we may be there tonight. But if it's okay for Rocklin Unified to gamble with district resources for political culture wars, why don't we gamble and then double down on a guaranteed win and actually invest in our students and the resources that support them better than they can in the courtroom? Silence as expected. Okay. So I'm going to leave you with this. This press release that's also on the board docs for tonight has a section, and it says, the board has directed superintendent to pursue a non-cost legal service agreement for this appeal. The RUSD board remains dedicated to working with students, parents, and staff to do what's best for Rocklin families. So is that a great tagline in a press release, or is that actually what this board's about? I'm hoping that when we discuss item 9.7 tonight, the board can answer that question along with these others of, again, why do we continue to gamble with resources that are not yours to play politic, cultural war games with, instead of investing those in the classroom and the people that are in the classrooms with your students?
I'll respond just for myself, and then anybody else that wants to jump in. I do not consider a parent's constitutional right to be a personal culture war or anything to do with politics. I think that my responsibility as a trustee is to reflect the will of our community, which was made very clear in November and again today. So I think we've been clear as a board what our priority is. I want to address the money and what we can afford. I'm surprised to hear the questions, because the way I understand it is that you guys have an open meeting and that there's these open conversations with Jennifer and her team and your team and Emily. And so we've gone to this fair share agreement so that there's this common understanding. If that's not happening, we definitely need to know about it, because our understanding, my understanding as a trustee, is that there is a common understanding on what we have. We are working to deal with the reserve. We're going to have more conversations about that. We want to address, we have huge facility needs, as you know and recognize. Those are not, they're on an agenda. We talked about it last meeting. I made a comment back to you on it. Again, I feel like we have been consistent. I feel like part of America is that we're probably going to agree to disagree, but I personally, and I'll give the rest of my board the same benefit of the doubt, have spent so much time making sure that we are never putting this district at financial risk, ever. So I'm going to ask Superintendent Stock to speak to that item and the information that we've received from our attorney about this being no cost.
Is the agreement before the board tonight states is there's no cost to be incurred to the board for the services performed by the Liberty Justice Center Council. In related to the costs, what the understanding we have is that there would that when government to government litigation occurs, there's rarely, if ever, attempt to recover attorney fees, because it's like transfer of money from one government agency to the other. And as far as expected cost of litigation, that would be a minimal risk and a minimal amount is what we've been informed.
Superintendent
So is it a
Stock.
zero
can I
cost
ask a
or is it
question real
a
quick?
rarely cost?
I'd like to ask a question. Could you clarify what minimal cost means? What range were we given?
The range is thousands of dollars, less than 10,000. So you know, several $1,000s is the it would be the normal range, the anticipated cost.
So is that the board agreeing that several $1,000s that could go into a student resource is worth it? There's a floor, but there's no ceiling? Or there's a ceiling, but there's no floor? Because to me, $1 not going to a classroom when it could is enough to be talking about and discussing.
Trustee Price, could I respond? Sure. Superintendent Stock, did you have a response first?
No, I think unless there's not a further question, no.
Travis, I want to respond, and I was trying to write quickly to make sure I was responding to some of your questions. You just asked a dollar. I want to make sure I understand. You're asking, is it appropriate to utilize a dollar to protect a parent's constitutional right? Is that your question?
Well, if we're going to talk about constitutional rights, I want to go back to President Price's comment about this isn't about politics. Well, the Constitution is literally politics.
Travis,
so.
I just want to answer your question. I'm trying to get clarification on what
But
you
yeah,
asked
no,
me.
my question would be, is taking a dollar from a student your fiduciary responsibilities? Is that you serving your role as a fiduciary responsible person or party for this district?
So I think it's important that we revisit that this was actually brought on by our TPA. So this is not something I engaged in. This is a matter of defense based off of a matter that our TPA has brought against the board. And so I do think it's important that we clarify that this is not something I initiated. I do want to respond to a few other things you said, if you can give me a minute.
Hang on one second, because I don't remember our TPA creating this policy and voting on this policy. I remember our TPA explaining exactly the outcome and path we would be on with this policy, and we executed that plan exactly as we told you.
Travis, you asked me
So-
about taking a dollar from a student.
I did.
I said I
And then you said at false accusation that we brought this on.
I'm happy to engage
Is it a
with you
board
if-
policy or is it an RTPA policy?
Travis.
Last
Travis,
I
you-
looked, it's a board policy. I don't need
Travis.
to, don't step in. I'm talking to Tiffany.
I know, but we listened very patiently
Yeah,
until
this is
you're
a
done.
dialogue,
Okay,
right?
great. So
I'm
let her
answering the
finish.
question before we
It's
get to
okay.
the next questions.
We can speak later. This is actually why we don't dialogue with you normally. So please, if you want to give her a chance to
I'm
respond.
answering the
Otherwise,
question and just
we'll
making a
wait till you're
correction
done.
where there's
That's
not a.
okay. We
I
can just
actually
wait
didn't
until he's
ask you a
done.
question. The original question I asked you, you already answered. So at this point, I'm responding. I'm giving you respect to respond to the questions you asked. I could bypass this agenda item and actually just give my board comments without giving you an opportunity to respond to them during my board comment moment. But I chose right now to respond to a few things you said because I want to make sure that I respond clearly, that all listening and have the ability to listen. So I do ask that you allow me to continue to respond to the question that you asked. I simply asked one question, clarifying. You clarified. Therefore, I responded to the question. So item 9.7, I will have an opportunity to better address if our community would like us to do so during 9.7. So I want to allow those that might only listen in at that point to hear the comments at that time. But I will say there were a couple comments you said about that right at this moment that were concerning. The comment was, this board has chosen this fight for the last year and a half. Just a reminder, I am purely defending that which our TPA has brought against the board. Additionally, a comment was made, when we lose in court again. There has actually not been a loss in court. Just a reminder, PERB is an administrative body. It's 5 board members that were appointed by the governor. Therefore, it's not a judicial ruling that was made. Additionally, there was a comment about that we're continuing to play politics, that we're gambling resources for political and culture wars. I was disappointed to hear those statements made tonight. I've continued to say that that is not the reason why item 9.7 is important to me. And at 9.7, I'll go ahead and reflect why 9.7 is so important to me. I do want to comment on a few of the things that you said regarding the money, however, because I think those are important things to address. There was a question, why one-time money? One-time money and ongoing money were viable options. The state of California gave a 1.0% COLA. A 1.0% COLA. I was incredibly disappointed to see that that's what the state of California gave. However, if we're to discuss ongoing, it's important that we talk about a 3% one time was given. That was substantially higher than a COLA that was given because I felt, I can speak for me, I felt like it was incredibly disappointing to see the state give such a low COLA. Additionally, there was questions about buildings needing repairs. We actually discussed that in a previous board meeting. Not only have we already allocated $53 million when our annual budget is just around $180 million, we allocated $53 million to make sure our facilities are better. We have many other things that we need to be focusing on with our facilities, and we just addressed that about 2 board meetings ago. I can give you a few of those minutes if you would like them. Additionally, you brought up EL supports, you brought up growing class sizes. Those were 2 specific areas that I called out in the LCAP, that I said, looking at our surveys, those are 2 priority areas that I asked Hannah to please bring information back to the board. So those are items that have been called out from this board, that they are priorities of ours and priorities that we want to fund. This that we are doing in regards to the PERB, to me, does not affect those areas. As we have heard tonight, there is low risk, very low risk, and minimal dollars to protect a parent's constitution right. So I thank you for bringing your concerns tonight. I hope that answered the questions that you had.
Yeah, I would just love to see you protect a student's constitutional right as much as you seem to want to protect a parent's.
Let me, can I ask one more question? I just want to clarify. Is that a student's constitutional right against and apart from their parent?
No, students' right to privacy and to have a safe and trusted space in a classroom and on a school campus.
Privacy from who? From their parent?
From whomever they need.
The policy only indicates that a parent is to be notified. Therefore, you are asking me to outweigh a student's privacy from their parent. I am not able to do so. Thank you.
Doesn't AB 1955 require you to do so?
Yeah,
I do have one follow-up question for you, Tiffany. On the topic of the ongoing versus one-time money. Ongoing money was never on the table in the bargaining conversation. So if that's what you were led to believe, I'll at least clear that up for you, because it was
interesting.
Our bargaining team inquired about it, and I don't want to put him on the spot, but Tony, if I'm wrong, please correct me so we're not wrong on record, but I don't remember, and my bargaining team and I were very adamant to look at options, knowing it wouldn't be a large number, but ongoing money is always better than one-time money. I don't care if it's 1% to 3% or 0.5% to 5%. One-time money is one time and it dies there. And I think we all know that. And our members that are going to retire out always remind us, if nobody else, but the compounding of ongoing money is more beneficial to a member than most one-time payments ever would be. So,
well, thank you for clarifying that. I
that.
wish that laws would allow us to further engage in negotiations directly. Unfortunately, I'm not able to do so, but I will say thank you for clarifying that so I can follow up on that.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, item 7.1, now to comments and report from our student board representative. Adriana, will you please share your report?
Thank you. Good evening, trustees and Superintendent Stock. Here are a few updates from our schools. Breen's third graders are very excited to begin the study of Rocklin's amazing history. As we all know, learning about the history of a community makes students feel more connected to that community. They feel so fortunate that the docents at Rocklin History Museum are retired third grade teachers from Rocklin Unified. They do an amazing job, and their tour of the local landmarks continues to improve each year. Breen is very grateful to these people who give up so much of their time and energy to Rocklin. Some classes are learning about fungi during Breen's garden time and even growing their own mushrooms in class. At Valley View, they are busy practicing their dance for the spring show in April. They have 2 assemblies coming up, including the Forces and Motions and an author visit, and Mariah Clark Skews, who used to teach in RUSD. All is going great at Valley View. This past month, Rock Creek showcased their dancing, musical, and other awesome skills at the annual talent show, kicked off the American Heart Association's Kids Healthy Heart Challenge. Their third graders went to the Sierra College Planetarium. Their sixth graders went to Springview's Preview. And the PTCs surprised their students with a new life-size mascot, Rocky the Red Hawk, at their March PBIS rally. And they finally wrapped up their second round of targeted intervention time. This upcoming month, they are looking forward to reporting their academic progress to families, their annual family skate night on March 20th, beginning their second round of targeted intervention, their spring book fair, and many more field trips for the Red Hawks. At Sunset Ranch, they are most excited to host their annual second international fair tomorrow. At this event, they will showcase various cultural performance groups who will share their talents with the school community. In addition, they will have booths set up from around the world for students to learn more about their many cultures. This is a great opportunity to showcase traditions from around the world and celebrate the diverse backgrounds that make their school so special. They also welcome a special author to visit SRES, Kate McCarroll. a grandmother of one of their very own coyotes, is coming to visit both on April 4th and on the 23rd. Miss McCarroll is a mentor teacher and literacy coach who served 3 times as Poet Laureate for the city of Raymond. She holds a doctorate in educational leadership for social justice, and she used her passion for poetry to promote kindness, empathy, and connection. Springview Middle School is excited to host their showcase night tomorrow. Their new Spirit Squad will be performing, the jazz band will be playing, clubs and sports will have booths, and classrooms will be open to show all the innovative and special things going on at Springview Middle School. Victory High School and the Rocklin Alternative Education Center just hosted their annual career fair. Coordinated by their amazing site council, Miss Dale, representatives from various organizations, including Rocklin Police and Fire, Rocklin City Council, South Placer Rotary, Sierra College, and Relentless Rescue all provided insight and inspiration into potential career, college, and vocational opportunities. Additionally, Victory High Interact Club is once again putting service before self by hosting their annual blood drive. As a reminder, every donation can save up to 3 lives, so please join them on Friday, March 14th from 9:15 to 1:15 in support of this incredibly important cause. Whitney High School is gearing up for an exciting Spirit Week this next week, full of engaging dress-up days, lunchtime activities, and a fun-filled rally. There will also be a school-wide rock, paper, scissors tournament where every student will receive a bead necklace and battle with others to either lose or gain a necklace to determine who is the champion. Whitney Theater will also be presenting the Mamma Mia smash hit musical March 12th through the 16th with many different showtimes. March will conclude with the much-anticipated junior prom held this year at the California Automobile Museum, followed closely by senior ball at the end of April. That is all. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Do you have exciting after graduation news to share with us? What are your plans?
All the California school decisions come out in March, so they're kind of spread
this
out.
month.
So almost
Yeah.
end of March, we'll have a better idea about where I'm planning to go. I did have full ride interviews with Texas Christian University over Ski Week.
It's awesome.
So hoping that works out, but I hear back also mid-March. So everything kind of comes out in
just
March,
on-
all my
yeah,
options.
pins and
So
needles.
end of March, yeah.
Well, we are excited for you, and we have enjoyed having you so much as part of our board, and thank you so much for your efforts, and good luck to you. We're
Thank
excited
you.
to hear
Thank
how
you
it
so
all
much.
works out. All right, next comments from the board and superintendent. Trustees, do you have any board comments that you would like to share tonight? Go ahead.
So I got, I guess it's an interesting story. I think it's a good story for RUSD and Rocklin High School specifically, but RUSD definitely. Had a chance, one of our former students graduated. They wanted, part of a college class, he had to interview, a local official or, elected official, and they went through a handful of things and asked me questions, and it was all in regards of school districts, communities, sports, et cetera, et cetera. So Chico State class. So called me back, and we chatted, went through a handful of things, asked great questions, did a great job, and I try to, when I talk to alumni, I always ask them the question. So being an alumni, being out there in college and speaking with the other kids, how well were you prepared? How easy, good, bad, how was college life and how well? And unanimously, thank you, amazing. I was well prepared. I'm not stressed during the classes. I understood things in comparison with friends from other schools and other areas. Thought I was able to handle things, whether it be from sports, from time management, the classes, very well prepared. So I can just say, it's great to hear that. I love hearing success from our alumni. It's great to hear that story. So I hope at Chico State, he's going to do well. He's going to keep doing great things. But it was just good to hear that our teachers, our principals, our sites, our facilities, everything was working really well. So one little small data point, but again, great to hear. So I was really proud of that. Again, thank you. I'll give congratulations. I'm sure it's in everybody's, but Code War champions, basketball champions, soccer champions, all our teams are in the playoffs, amazing. So great job for all of our sports and our events that were in the winter. Looking forward to spring, all because of Marty's continuous history and effort out there supporting every team. So I know that's an instrumental part of it, so thank you for that. And then just in one final comment, and again, it goes back to, so it was both the soccer teams, both the basketball teams from winter sports, all those girls were in the playoffs. And it's really amazing to see like our teams coming up into playoffs, went very far, did great things. I just hope, and not to get super political, I just hope that someday, from a U.S. standpoint, from a state standpoint, from a local standpoint, we can all support girls' sports and having them out there. I think it's been great for our schools. I know, Travis, you were out there coaching girls' flag football, which was amazing. I think those are, like, the more we can do with that, the more we can have girls' sports out, the more they can have those things. I just hope that we can all get to a point where we're all supporting girls' sports. So, thank you.
I just wanted to say, it hasn't been that long since our last report out, but Trustee Sutherland and I got to meet with Charles, who's the head of our cafeteria department, and it was such a great meeting. We both came in with many, many questions, and you might have something to say about that too, but I do feel very, very passionate about child nutrition and about what kind of materials we use in our cafeterias, and I'm really looking forward to his presentation because he was able to answer all of our questions just really in the positive. When we asked about nutrition, he was spot on with all the things that he's doing, and then also about farm to fork and how we're working more in that direction. He's going to have a lot to say about that. I don't want to give too many spoilers, but it was just a great meeting, and I was really impressed with all the work that he does.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. I know I'm really looking forward to it. I feel like I'll just be reviewing our notes as we listen. I'm hoping that everyone enjoys learning a little bit more about that. Otherwise, thank you, Trustee Counter, for covering the sports. I was able to make it to a couple of those. It's just so great to see them just playing so hard and great sportsmanship. We also had the unified sports game. I think we're all out there. So fun, super positive, just great to be able to cheer those athletes on and just watch them work together with some of the students coming in to help. So.
Okay, I'm going to try not to repeat anything everybody said, but I have to mention the unified game. That's not quite fair. I just have to say, I just thought it was so great to have all 5 board members out there showing support for this important game that I know means so much to multiple sections of our community. You know, there's families, I've known their students, they've been students in this district for years, and one of them's now a graduating senior. And it was just so sweet afterwards to be down on the court and the mom just with tears in her eyes be like, this is an opportunity that she really believed he wouldn't have anywhere else. And so it was great, not only for him to have that opportunity, but then also a peer that was paired with him, to have the peer be there. And what an opportunity for that peer to volunteer their time to come and participate. And so if you haven't been to a unified game, I just think it's beautiful. People of all abilities out on the court together and showing how unified we are really as a district and as a community. And so I thought that was great. Just a shout out for the upcoming Run Rocklin. I thought it's great. We always have students that volunteer and serve a lot. I love that when I go out to community events like Run Rocklin or like Hot Chili Cool Cars in the fall, we typically have groups of students out there volunteering. And so just wanted to do a shout out for that upcoming event. And I'm sure the many volunteer opportunities there will be for students still looking for volunteer opportunities. Feel free to hit us all up. And then Adriana, I just wanted to say thank you for your report. It's so great for us to know there's so many things that I hear in the student report that I wouldn't have possibly known about if you didn't tell me. And so I just think it's always great to hear the many different ways that we are helping support students in our school district, the whole child. And so thank you for doing that and giving your report. And fingers crossed, I'm sure you are going to get many, many incredible responses in the month of March, but I look forward to hearing the next time we see what you choose, because that is what's beautiful about this time. My 2 olders, I let both of them know this is your choice. This is your choice to choose what you're going to do. And you know what? If you make a choice and you realize you don't like it, you can always change it. So I say congratulations in advance for the announcement I'm sure you'll be giving us later on this spring. That's my report for tonight.
Okay, great. I just wanted to share, I was excited to hear that the City of Rocklin and Placer County Office of Education have entered into a partnership with William Jessup and Placer Land Trust and others to preserve 402 acres of Clover Valley. And the reason why that will affect us is that some of that will be used as an outdoor education space, which can just benefit Rocklin students. So I was excited to hear that. In addition, lots of, athletic and academic success. In addition, we have a huge calendar this spring of arts and music, and I couldn't believe how many theater productions and dance shows and choir concerts and band concerts and elementary education music showcase. So I'm excited to see those things and grateful for those that put in so much time and energy to make those happen for our students. Superintendent Stock, do you have any comments that you would like to share?
I do have a couple. The board received a presentation last time on our LCAP process, but since the last meeting, we had an evening where we had parents come in to give us input and work. We had our staff group come in and work just diligently on really diving in deep and giving us their perspectives, and staff that facilitated all that and shows up. So just really deep appreciation for our staff that go that extra mile to really dive in deep and help us think across the district, and our parents that do the same. So just really a deep appreciation for that work, and that work that's led by Director Anderson. The other thing I'm not sure if I've mentioned, but if I have, I'm going to do it again, which is we have open enrollment. We are thrilled to accept enrollment in all grades, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week through our online portal. We welcome in your children to have excellence in education here in Rocklin, and so we just want to make sure everyone knows, or if you know somebody, you have a grandchild, please share with them that we are open, and we are eagerly accepting children, and help us plan with you in mind, and so I just want to remind our community.
Thank you so much. All right, we will now move to item 8.1, the consent calendar. All matters listed under the consent calendar are to be considered routine and will be enacted by one motion followed by a roll call vote. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless the Board of Trustees or staff request specific items to be removed from the consent calendar for separate discussion and action. Any items removed will be voted upon following the motion to approve the consent calendar. Does any trustee wish to remove an item from the consent calendar for separate discussion and action?
I'd like to remove item 8.2.
Do you want to remove action on certified and management personnel report, or did you want to remove from when you were gone 8.1? Okay, I have it on mine as 8.1. Okay. Trustee Counter has requested to remove consent item 8.2 for separate discussion and action. Is there a motion to approve the remainder of the consent agenda items?
So moved.
First by Trustee Hupp. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Trustee Sadoff. Georgia, will you please call the roll?
Adriana Boyce,
Yes.
Tiffany Sadoff,
Yes.
Derek Counter,
Abstain.
Julie Hupp,
Yes.
Michelle Sutherland,
Yes.
Rochelle Price.
Yes, motion passes. Trustee Counter, would you please speak to item?
Yes. So again, just to clarify, so I wasn't here for the meeting, so I wasn't in the room. I didn't hear, I have heard stories about it. I didn't hear Tony's amazing presentation and data analysis, so I will apologize to the community about that, but I wasn't here, so just pulling that out, and then we'll roll through.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve consent agenda item 8.2?
So moved.
First by Trustee Sutherland,
Second.
second by Trustee Sadoff. Georgia, will you please call the roll?
Adriana Boyce,
Yes.
Tiffany Sadoff,
Yes.
Derek Counter,
Abstain.
Julie Hupp,
Yes.
Michelle Sutherland,
Yes.
Rochelle Price.
Yes, motion passes.
I would have called it, yeah, I guess so. So to correct, when you pull 8.2, I would have said yes to everything else, but I'm just abstaining from the fact that I wasn't here for the meeting.
Do you want us
Double
to
abstain.
revote?
No, I'm fine.
Okay.
It's not a,
We
Motion
can
passes.
correct the record that shows an affirmative vote.
Perfect. Okay. She'll correct the record.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, no problem. We now invite Marty Flowers, Associate Superintendent of Secondary Education, to present item 9.1, action on declaration of open enrollment for Rocklin Unified School District for the 2025-26 school year.
Why is
President Price, Trustee, Superintendent Stock, he kind of gave us a little prelude to this topic, but Board Policy 5116.1 states that by March 15th of each school year, the district shall establish a list of schools that are open for enrollment. Following this declaration, enrollment applications will be processed at all K-12 sites based on space availability and the district's criteria. Excuse me. The Office of Business and Operations and Educational Services have reviewed projected enrollment data for the 25-26 school year at all sites, including housing forecast programs and facility needs that may impact elementary and secondary attendance areas. At this time, staff has ascertained that there is space available at all district schools for the 25-26 school year. With this, staff asked the Board of Trustees to take action to declare all schools open for intra-district and inter-district for the 25-26 school year.
Thank you so much. Are there any board comments or questions? Okay, and seeing no public comment, is there a motion to approve the declaration of open enrollment for Rocklin Unified School District for 2025-26 school year?
So moved.
First by Trustee Counter.
Second.
Second by Trustee Hupp. Georgia, will you please call the roll?
Adriana Boyce,
Yes.
Tiffany Sadoff,
Yes.
Derek Counter,
Yes.
Julie Hupp,
Yes.
Michelle Sutherland,
Yes.
Rochelle Price.
Yes, motion passes. Thank you. Next, we have Tony Limoges, Associate Superintendent, Human Resources, to present item 9.2, which is action on Resolution 242522, a resolution authorizing the notification of the release of short-term employees pursuant to Education Code 45103.
Thank you, President Price. Good evening, trustees, Superintendent Stock, Ms. Georgia. I'm going to be up here for a minute, and if you'd please allow me to, I will read the resolutions and probably put a little bit of narrative for the people outside so that they don't get caught up in the ed code and things like that. So the first one is, at the January 17, 2024 board meeting, Resolution 23-2419, authorizing the authority to employ short-term employees for the 24-25 school year was approved. In accordance with Education Code 45103, governing boards of school districts annually may release short-term employees employed and are paid less than 75% of the school year. Short-term employees will receive notification of intent not to reemploy for the 2025-2026 school year. Staff is now presenting to the Board of Trustees for action on Resolution 242522, a resolution authorizing the release of 10.934 full-time equivalent FTE short-term employees pursuant to Education Code 45103. And for those listening at home, short-term employees, and you're going to hear me in the next two presentation items use the words short-term and temporary. Short-term is basically the temporary employee of the classified world. So when they come in and they're hired basically on a one-year contract and told so at the beginning. And they are released at the end of the contracted school year based upon the time they've served. If you may recall from last time, you already authorized the previous resolution where we're already structuring ourselves to be able to employ short-term employees for the 25-26 school year or next school year. So that's already been authorized. So the majority of their employees, and I can't say all because they will make the decision that they choose to do so, will have the opportunity to come back and be reemployed. The very nature of these positions are short-term based upon their funding and or enrollment numbers that they have. So what I'm going to recommend is a motion to take action on Resolution 242522, a resolution authorizing the notification of the release of short-term employees pursuant to Education Code 45103. I also could take questions if there are any.
Thank you. Are there any board comments or questions? Okay, seeing no public comment as well, is there a motion to approve Resolution 242522, a resolution authorizing the notification of the release of short-term employees pursuant to Education Code 45103?
So moved.
First by Trustee Sutherland.
Second.
Second by Trustee Counter. Georgia, will you please call the roll?
Adriana Boyce,
Yes.
Tiffany Sadoff,
Yes.
Derek Counter,
Yes.
Julie Hupp,
Yes.
Michelle Sutherland,
Yes.
Rochelle Price.
Yes, motion passes. Tony, please continue with action on Resolution 242517, a resolution authorizing the notification of the release of temporary certified employees pursuant to Education Code 44954.
Thank you, President Price. Item 9.3 is just the flip side that I shared previously with the board. In accordance with Education Code 44954, governing boards of school districts annually may release temporary employees requiring certification qualifications after serving 75% of the days of the regular school year if the employee is notified before the end of school year of the board's decision. Temporary employees will receive notification of intent not to reemploy for the 2025-2026 school year. Staff is now presenting to the Board of Trustees for action on Resolution 242517, a resolution authorizing the release of 18.7 full-time equivalent temporary teacher certificated employees pursuant to Education Code 33954. So temporary teachers in this, there are some statutory pieces for people that are out on leaves, that are those that are on sabbatical or take other pieces that we have to backfill them be backfilled them by temporary positions. And over in the case of learning recovery, we had certificated teachers that are probationary teachers or tenured teachers that took those temporary positions and their positions were backfilled. Annually, that at this time of the year, we present these to you to be non-reelected, not so to speak, but the temporary releases for the next school year. However, I will also share that there are, through the course of the school years, that these positions potentially become viable. Somebody resigns, there's a retirement, they're phenomenal teachers. We have a process that we work in side by side where we communicate frequently with RTPA, where many of these, or some of these I should say better, become actually probationary employees in our district because they're hired to fill vacancies. And so actually, as I'm starting, we have 3 recruiting fairs this week. I'm sharing with some of the new teachers coming out of college that this is a great opportunity in Rocklin Unified to potentially get a probationary position while also having the same benefits of being allowed to be a member of the union, be the same access to benefits, same access to salary. So the recommended action is a motion to take action on Resolution 242517, a resolution authorizing the notification of the release of temporary certificated employees pursuant to Education Code. And if I may add one more thing that I just realized I forgot. When an employee is brought in and signs a contract as a temporary employee, this isn't a surprise to them. My staff shares that up front, that this is a temporary contract and this will be happening at the end of the school year. I apologize.
Thank you so much. Are there any board comments or questions? Okay, seeing no public comment, is there a motion to approve Resolution 242517, a resolution authorizing the notification of the release of temporary certificated employees pursuant to Education Code 44954?
So moved.
Second.
First by Trustee Koner, second by Trustee Sadoff. Georgia, will you please call the roll?
Adriana Boyce,
Yes.
Tiffany Sadoff,
Yes.
Derek Counter,
Yes.
Julie Hupp,
Yes.
Michelle Sutherland,
Yes.
Rochelle Price.
Yes, motion passes. Tony, please continue with action on Resolution 242516, a resolution to reduce classified school services for the 24-25 school year pursuant to Education Codes 45101, 45114, 45117, 45298, and 45308.
Could you repeat those, President? Yeah, I got to do the same thing, so you can laugh at me. In accordance with Education Code Sections 45101, 45114, 45117, 45298, and 45308, governing boards of school districts are authorized to lay off or reduce classified services for lack of work, lack of funds, or adjustment based upon site enrollment changes. Districts are directed to give notice of reduction of services to the affected employees of the district pursuant to district rules and regulations and applicable provisions of the Education Code not later than March 15th. Staff is now presenting for action on Resolutions 242516, a resolution authorizing the layoff of 3.3792 full-time equivalent classified positions pursuant to Education Code Sections 45101, 45114, 4517, 45298, and 45308, effective June 30th, 2025. If approved, these preliminary notices will be delivered to affected employees by the March 15th statutory deadline. The final decision will be brought back to the board at the May 7th, 2025 meeting. Significant about that, and just for the people out there, for the benefit of President Price and myself, the education, all the codes that are in there are statutorily provided by our legal counsel so that we share them vocally, not just to put ourselves through torture. But these are statutory deadlines where that this needs to be done by March 15th, which is deemed the preliminary notice. These can evolve drastically by the final notice, which occurs statutorily on May 7th for us. So what's the difference between the temporary leases? These are current probationary employees that are either with CSEA and or with our non-represented groups. And though the education code says that, lack of work, lack of funds, and or adjustments, I want to share that this is an annual process that we do as a school district. And really this is based upon exclusively the fluctuations in enrollment at this point. The board has not authorized specific cuts to areas or anything specific to that. It's really based upon the enrollment fluctuations that happen in sites. And as I share a lot of times with the board in closed, which is the case here, we really do our best to try to, if you're being laid off for a certain amount of position at this location or in this position, how can we place you in another position and or potentially utilize you for the needs at another site? For the CSEA employees that are involved in this, which are primarily one, we do negotiate directly with CSEA in regards to effects and or the outcomes of the decision of this. So if there's any questions, I always tend to talk super fast on this one. I'll be glad to answer them, and then I'll make my recommended action.
I just want to take a second, just say thank you for the clarification. I know we get to have this direct conversation with you of, hey, I want to make clear we fully understand. And so I appreciate you clarifying for the public. This is essentially right sizing. This is due to change of enrollment at different campuses at different times. I know I was able to share my frustration about essentially we're forced to over notify. We really are, because the state of California requires us to do this by March 15th. However, the state of California doesn't even give us an approved budget till typically mid-June. And so as much as we may be frustrated with that and try to fight that and argue that, the reality is we're put in this really difficult situation. And, I know I was able to share with Superintendent Stock my frustration, because we end up having to sometimes put employees through unnecessary angst. And so I try to fight any way I can to not have there be any angst whatsoever. But the reality is we also have to balance the fiduciary responsibility that we have to continue every year to right size our district and make sure that the services we provide are consistent with the needs of each campus. And so I just want to clarify, these are not program cuts. I know I went through each and every one individually with you guys of these just to make sure and to verify these are not program cuts. These are not in any way saying that we don't value special education, health, PE. These are right-sizing decisions made based off of the needs of each campus at this point in time. Is that correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
And I think it's also important to add, much to the chagrin of the board, I say this first round that I do with you tends to be more aggressive, because after any additional cuts that I could recommend, for example, I made a mistake and go, we should have cut X, Y, and Z. After you have made action tonight, I can add no longer to that. So even though the statutory deadline is March 15th, your action really signifies that I cannot authorize and or recommend any cuts above the FTE that I've authorized, whether it's classified or certificate, other than what you voted on this evening. So thank you. Any other questions?
Thank you for the clarification. Appreciate that. Seeing no public comment, is there a motion to approve Resolution 242516, a resolution to reduce classified school services for the 2024-25 school year pursuant to Education Codes 45101, 45114, 45117, 45298, and 45308?
So moved.
First by Trustee Hupp.
Second.
Second by Trustee Sutherland. Georgia, will you please call the roll?
Adriana Boyce,
Yes.
Tiffany Sadoff,
Yes.
Derek Counter,
Yes.
Julie Hupp,
Yes.
Michelle Sutherland,
Yes.
Rochelle Price.
Yes, motion passes. Next, action on Resolution 242524, a resolution to reduce or eliminate particular kinds of services pursuant to Education Code 44955. Thank you, Tony.
Thank you, President Price. Based on the loss of enrollment and reductions in particular kinds of services programs, the district will be issuing reduction in force layoff notices to employees. Issuing notices and making reductions will provide that the district with maximum flexibility to meet financial obligations. The resolution to reduce or eliminate particular kinds of service have been developed listing the services affected by the reduction in force. Staff is now presenting to the Board of Trustees for approval Resolution 242524, a resolution authorizing the layoff of 1.17 full-time equivalent certificated positions pursuant to Education Code 44955 effective June 30th, 2025. If approved, these preliminary notices will be delivered to affected employees by March 15th, statutory deadline. The final decision will be brought back to the board at the May 7th, 2025 board meeting. And just to, I don't want to repeat myself on the same one, this is the certificated side of this. And as I hope the board notices, the number is already gone down in FTE based upon the last conversation that we had. And again, though the statutory codes say what they say, I can assure the public, and obviously the board would like me to share, this is really based upon right sizing as well, based upon the fluctuations in enrollment that occur at our site. And unfortunately, but fortunately, is an annual process. And as I shared before, this is the preliminary notice, and we always hope this number to go down prior to the final notices with May. And through this process, we do our best to communicate with RTPA in regards to this process and where we are as we go through this, and really do our best to communicate and try to find spots for the people that we have. So any questions about 9.5?
Just one small item. I thank you again for clarifying. I know this is the certificated version of essentially what we discussed for classified, right sizing. I just wanted to point out in the background language and on the resolution, there's language that I know I was able to engage with both of you on, and I thought just could be good to clarify for the public. The actual language that needs to be used is it's called reductions in particular kinds of services. However, it does not mean that the board is cutting programs or specific services. We just have to do a specific call out that when we're right sizing, we are in this area, it's called reductions in particular kinds of services. Is that correct, Superintendent Stock?
Yes, it is.
Okay, just wanted to clarify for anybody reading that, that I know that clarification was given to me, and I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page. It is not a desire of mine to cut programs or services, but I thank you for taking a responsible approach to say, hey, we do need to look at right sizing, and so thank you for asking for the authorization tonight.
Thank you. Seeing no public comment, is there a motion to approve Resolution 242524, a resolution to reduce or eliminate particular kinds of services pursuant to Education Code 44955?
So moved.
First by Trustee Sadoff. Is there a second?
Oh, is that comment regarding this item? Okay. Do you want a second? Second.
Second by Trustee Sutherland. Georgia, will you please call the roll?
Adriana Boyce,
Yes.
Tiffany Sadoff,
Yes.
Jarrett Counter,
Yes.
Julie Hupp,
Yes.
Michelle Sutherland,
Yes.
Rochelle Price.
Yes, motion passes. Tony, please continue with action on Resolution 242520, a resolution authorizing the adoption of tie-breaking criteria.
Last but not least, thank you, President Price. Based upon the loss of enrollment and reductions the district is facing, it is imperative that the district issue a reduction in force layoff notice for certificated employees. Seniority lists have been established, and when more than one employee has the same seniority date, a tie-breaking criteria will be applied. The tie-breaking criteria has been developed and is ready for board review. Staff is now presenting for action on Resolution 242520, a resolution authorizing the adoption of tie-breaking criteria used as the next step in the reduction in force for certificated employees in 2024-2025 for the 2025-2026 school year. So this is not as significant, but because of the fact that any layoffs that occur in either certificated or classified, but this is specific to certificated, we have to establish a system based upon seniority and how we would establish if two people, for example, quite often for certificated employees, their first date of pay is our first new teacher in service. So you end up with a whole pool of individuals with the same hire date. And so the tie-breaking criteria is something that we need to present in the event that we have that case. I will share both with my colleagues to the left and right and to you, there have been no change since the previous tie-breaking criteria that we've created. So I have no edits that I would be presenting. If there is suggested changes, first of all, I would have shared it to you the first time we discussed this situation, and also would have had a conversation with RTPA and/or my colleagues to determine if there were any adaptations or modifications to be made. So there is a recommended action. President Price?
Thank you so much. Are there any board comments or questions? Okay, and seeing no public comment, is there a motion to approve Resolution 242520, a resolution authorizing the adoption of tie-breaking criteria?
So moved.
First by Trustee Counter.
Second.
Second by Trustee Hupp. Georgia, will you please call the roll?
Adriana Boyce,
Yes.
Tiffany Sadoff. Yes. Jarrett Counter.
Yes.
Julie Hupp,
Yes.
Michelle Sutherland,
Yes.
Rochelle Price.
Yes, motion passes. Thank you for all of that, Tony. Appreciate that. All right, we'll now move to item 9.7. I would like to ask Superintendent Stock to present this item, action on a legal services agreement with Liberty Justice Center.
President Price, trustees, the Board of Trustees gave direction to the superintendent to appeal the January 28, 2025 Public Employee Relation Board PERB's ruling on case SACE 3136-E to the California 3rd District Court of Appeals regarding the school district's revisions made to the policies and administrative regulations related to parent notification. The board also gave direction to the superintendent to pursue a pro bono legal services agreement related to this litigation for consideration by the board at the March 5th board meeting. The legal services agreement before the board tonight is with the Liberty Justice Center is to provide pro bono legal services, which is free of charge, to the Rocklin Unified School District.
Thank you so much. Are there any board comments or questions?
I have some comments. I think, I've been consistent with my take on this from the beginning, but given that we did receive a good deal of email contact from the community with kind of divided opinions on it and perspectives, I just wanted to make some comments, and I'm sure this will be an agree to disagree situation. But I want to thank everyone that took the time to reach out to us, regardless of what your position is on this. On this particular agenda item, I'm not in support of the PERB appeal. I don't share the opinion that PERB acted in an overreach. I do also disagree with the premise of the media statement that was released on behalf of Rocklin Unified, that this appeal in particular is a demonstration of standing firm on parental rights. This appeal does not increase or enhance the rights of that parents already possess over their children. This appeal essentially keeps everything running in Rocklin Unified in the exact same way that it always has, and that is with respect for students and parents. For parents who do want to see enforceable language related to parental notification, you may want to inquire about why the board hasn't agreed to revise the parental notification policy language, as Chino Valley and Dry Creek districts have, so that it can be enforced in our schools. As long as AB 1955 stands, the policy that this board adopted in September 23 is not lawful. It won't be enforced. Other districts have adopted parental notification policies that have been found to be legal, that are currently being implemented in schools. Right now, we're up here fighting teachers on a policy that has never seen the light of day in Rocklin Unified. Our community, it just hurts me that the community's kind of being dragged through this divisiveness once again, when there are options available that we could discuss. We've never gotten a single complaint of wrongdoing against teachers or any staff in our schools to spark this course of action in the first place. Because of these things, I just can't see this appeal as anything other than performative. I really don't like the term culture war, but I think we all see around us that gender is the societal issue of the 2020s, just like we had marriage equality in the 2000s. And the reality is that the direction that our society takes on this issue as a whole is not going to be determined by anything that we do up here. It's already in the courts. You can't go a day without seeing something at the local level, at the national level. We're not breaking ground here. My dream would be to see us focus solely on our responsibility to ensure educational excellence in Rocklin Unified. Educating our children requires so much effort, so many resources, even those little dollars count, and a great deal of expertise. As trustees, we all up here expect high levels of literacy, math proficiency, shrinking academic achievement disparities across student groups, excellent campus safety and security, positive teachers who are great at their job. They're also great at connecting with students, positive campus culture, nutritious food, exposure to and appreciation of the arts, and so many more things that we expect. I cannot support drawing these proceedings out any longer when they continue to pose a distraction and a contradiction to these unifying, non-politicized interests that impact all of our students every single day they go to school.
Thank you.
I have some comments, but I also want to be careful that we provide the opportunity if there's public comment to be given. So I do want to make sure that I fully hear public comment and then also give a response in case something's said in public comment that might be different than what I already have.
Great. We have 4 public comments, so we will go to that right now. I just need to give some reminders. The board respects each individual's rights to express varied ideas and opinions and expects speakers to refrain from personal attacks based on protected categories under state and federal law, including race, religion, sexual orientation, and disability. Please be mindful that students may be watching. The board will not permit any disturbance or willful interruption of board meetings. Excessive interruption by an individual shall be grounds for the board president to terminate the privilege of addressing the board. Please fill out a green public comment card, which I have here. I will call your name to invite you to the podium and will state who is on deck. When you approach the podium, please restate your name, the city you live in, and the school your children attend. You will have 2 minutes to address the board. All comments must be respectful. Please, no profanity. Jeremy Waddell, you will be first, and you'll be followed by Brian Faircloth.
Hello, Board and Superintendent Stock. My name is Jeremy Waddell. I'm a teacher and bargaining team member in Rocklin. Tonight, I come to you to make the simple legal argument of how you will lose this case. We will all lose financially with you. First off, you say your legal counsel is pro bono, which is great, but let me bring your attention to Part 5, Costs of Litigation. It states that in the event the opposing party is prevailing party in the litigation, the opposing party may be awarded damages, their attorney's fees, and costs for bringing this litigation. Liberty Justice Center and any other co-counsel will not be liable to client or the opposing party for any such award of damages, attorney's fees, or costs. In other words, this is free as long as you win. As far as winning goes, in U.S. v. Lopez, the Supreme Court ruled that the Fourth Amendment constrains the actions of school officials and that students have an expectation of privacy when in school. Furthermore, in Troxel v. Granville, Justice Scalia held that parents have no constitutionally protected rights whatsoever. Finally, on the legislative side of things, California has recently passed AB 1955. It prohibits schools districts from enacting or enforcing any policy that requires an employee to disclose any information related to a pupil's sexual orientation, gender identity, or gender expression to any other person without the pupil's consent. In conclusion, the state of California simply says no to your outing policy. This means you're going to be paying out fees when you lose, which are going to come from the reserve for your identity politics. Teachers are tired of a school board that puts its politics before the education and welfare of children. You care more about outing children than you do about fixing our facilities or giving teachers ongoing pay. When you wonder why teachers don't support the majority of you, look at the moments like tonight and reflect on the decisions you make for politics over the children and teachers of Rocklin. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeremy. We'll now hear from Brian Faircloth, and on deck will be Bruce Yondell. Hi.
President Price, the members of the board, staff, my name is Brian Faircloth. I reside in Roseville, California. Therefore, I'm a resident of Placer County. Being a Placer County resident, I'm a stakeholder as I pay educational taxes for Rocklin. And I'm here to say that I fully support your stand, that you'll take this legal action against the denial of your policy. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And people who would just take a look at the facts of why we got here, it's plain to understand why we got here if you look at the facts of the case. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Bruce Yandell is next, and he'll be followed by Price Johnson.
Good evening. I'm Bruce Yandell. I'm Corey Troyle, parent. Your yes vote endorses a policy that violates the law and restarts a legal fight with the state and our teachers. All for the policy that has not been quantified as an educational issue in our district, nor as part of our school district's performance dashboard. Your yes vote is a gamble. If we roll the dice and win, then we get to say a law was wrong. This is a legislative agenda. If we roll the dice and lose, then our school funds are at risk at a time when you're telling our schools and our teachers and our parents that we don't have the funds to help our kids in the classroom. If you want to defend someone's constitutional right, do so. Willingly do so. But do it as a private citizen, because this isn't about an educational issue that's happening in our district. Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce. Next up, Price.
Good evening, Board. Thank you, President Price. My name is Price Johnson. I'm a father here in Rocklin, Rocklin Elementary. And I just wanted to address a couple of things I've heard tonight. First of all, thank you, Board Member Sutherland, for your comments. I hope to be half as eloquent. You know, I've been told that this board is defending my constitutional rights as a parent, and I'm just here to say, as a parent, I have not seen that. It's just blatantly not true. The policy that this board attempted to pass in September of 2023 has not been enforced. It doesn't apply to myself, to my family. It applies to other parents' children's. It applies to a super minority of marginalized students. It does not apply to the student body as a whole. And if the goal here wasn't political, it wasn't performative, it really was about protecting kids, protecting parents, protecting that very important, that I recognize, parent-teacher-student triangle, then you would be working and compromising on policy that would have been implemented long ago, that we could be holding accountable to our entire student body. But that's not what you're doing. Instead, you're engaging in, I think, a third round of back and forth litigation. You've been told by local parents, you've been told by your local student body presidents, your fellow student peers on this board, you've been told by your peer board members, you've been told by parents like myself, students in your district, you have heard from your teachers association. No one supports this, but all of them have offered an olive branch to help you revise this policy so that it is not discriminatory. I don't think that's your intent, but it is the results, and it is the outcome of this policy that you're continuing to drag Rocklin's name through the mud for. We see your allies in local Mom for Liberty chairs. We hear of the dog whistles. I don't know that they're intentional, but Mr. Counter, who's coming for women's sports? I don't know anybody, and I'm a huge supporter of our LGBTQ+ community. So please get back to doing your job. Please get us focused back on education. Please consider revisions that would make this effective policy, because it's not done any.
Thank you, Price. We have one more. Angela, is it Winstead Thomas? Okay. She did. Oh, is it regarding this item, 9.7? Okay, if you want to walk it up here to this basket, that'd be great. But Angela, come on up. Directing traffic here.
Excuse me, I'm a little nervous. I am a mother. I am a Rocklin resident. I am a business owner. I am a churchgoer. And I stand up here in front of you because I want you to know that there are students in your schools that are terrified. They're terrified every single day to go to school. They're bullied and they're excluded. When your principal from Victory could have stood up and talked about getting that student from a 1.0 to a 4.0, that was getting a marginalized student and taking care of him, taking care of that student. And that's what we should all be doing and all be thinking about, taking care of the marginalized students, not excluding them further, not repressing them, not telling them we don't care about them. They're not good enough. They don't exist in our eyes. And that's what you're doing when you're doing when you have these policies against our LGBT youth. My son graduated from the Rocklin High. When he started as a freshman, he said, I don't want to go to school. I'm afraid to go to school and for anyone to know that my daughter or that my sister's transgender, because he was afraid of being bullied because his little sister was transgender. That's how bad it is in your schools. I couldn't send my daughter to your schools. The school's within walking distance, and I can't send her there because she's not safe there. It's not a safe place for her to be. It should be a safe for all students. That's what you need to think about. Thank you.
Thank you, Angela. I can't quite read your writing. I think is it Sandra Marquez? Sandra, come on up.
Board. My name is Sandra Marquez, and I'm a resident of Placer County. I live in the city of Roseville, and I'm here in support of the decision that you've made to appeal. I am also a stakeholder in this area, and I just wanted to read a little bit of the United States Constitution, the preamble, which says, "We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America." Our posterity is our children, and we need to be careful with them. We need to provide direction and provide safe places for them. This is true. But we also need to show them that we are a nation of laws, and we need to respect those laws. We have constitutional rights. They need to be upheld and defended, and I thank you all for being public servants and taking oaths to defend and uphold those constitutions, not just the federal, but the California state as well. So I applaud you in taking these positions, and I will pray that you will be successful. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, I will bring this back to the board for any additional comments. No, there's no more public comment. Yeah.
You know, the last few days, first, thank you to the public comment tonight. I know it's not easy to come out in an evening, and I know oftentimes you might see us writing because it really is important that I hear every perspective because this is not a solidified issue. I continue to hear concerns in support. I continue to hear concerns in opposition. And so I do think it's important that I do my best to try to clear up if there's maybe misperceptions, and so there were a few things said tonight, but things that I did see repeated in emails that were sent to me, and so I think those are important to speak through too when I see it repeated. There were many emails sent that I received the last few days, frantically trying to look through them. I know I come from work here to the board meeting. I have a job during the day. Believe it or not, we are not full-time employees here of the district. We volunteer, and I'm thankful for every colleague that sits on this board and to serve our community. And decisions like this aren't easy. And we've said this multiple times, but I think it's important because when there's a massive emails, I want to make sure people know that I'm reading them. I'm looking at them at each of my breaks today, my lunch break today, and then even when I got here, I think with 2 minutes to spare, trying to glance if there were any new. And so it is difficult to respond to all of those live. So I will say I did notice there were many from our area. There were many from out of our area. And so I do appreciate perspectives from out of our area. But I did notice on several, and this is the first time I've noticed this, that there were addresses listed, but many of the addresses were listed and they said Rocklin addresses, and they actually weren't Rocklin addresses. And so I'm trying to understand that and weigh that. Really, my concern is more to clear up misconceptions, and so I want to try to do that. But I want to make sure those that are emailing in are knowing that it is important that your voice is heard. But it's important that what is in the emails is accurate as well. And so some of the things that I read multiple times were statements, and I can only speak for me, so if I say board, I might slip. I'm meaning for me in specific, that I'm playing with student and staff resources, that the board is just doing a personal culture war, that this is a political propaganda. And I'm going to speak to a few of those in a moment and try to really make clear why I feel this is so important and why I don't believe this is a political propaganda or a personal culture war. There were additional comments, though, that there's been an elimination of intervention and support classes. And I want to speak to that one first because I want to get clarification because Superintendent Stock, can you confirm that every one of our campuses still does have intervention and support classes on the campuses? Because I was surprised by that one.
Yes, we've continued to provide academic intervention support, behavior, and social emotional supports. And we've recommended to continue providing intervention supports at all campuses next year. As we have had a ending of the federal and state infusion of one-time dollars, we've had to modify what that looks like, but we requested the board take general fund dollars, over $1 million next year, to support continued intervention services at all of our campuses.
Okay, so just to clarify, have there been any changes that have been made to intervention and support classes because of the parental notification policy or this PERB case?
No.
Okay, just want a clarification on that because I was surprised to see that lumped into some of the emails because that is definitely not something I have supported. Addition to that, I just want to speak for a minute to some of those other pieces of why would we play with student and staff resources? And I spoke a little bit earlier, but for those that maybe aren't hearing the entire board meeting and are just hearing this clip, and I did hear it again tonight in a public comment, Superintendent Stock, can you clarify legal fees, the item that is included in the contract, which is common typical language. It was actually in previous contracts that we have had with pro bono cases. Can you speak to what level of risk, if any, there is in attorney's fees being awarded in this case?
According to our counsel, there is minimal risk in the attorney fees because it's a government agency litigating against another government agency, so there typically is no request for fees. And then as far as additional cost, we've been told it's a minimal cost that could be at risk, if any.
Okay, could you clarify minimal? Because I know we might all have a little bit of minimal or definition different of minimal.
Yes, likely several $1,000s at most to not typically ever to exceed $10,000.
Okay, so not to exceed $10,000, if any. So I did run the numbers on that. I mean, any dollar, I want to make sure every dollar is appropriately spent, but just for comparison for a district of our size, even if we went the maximum amount, $10,000 of $180 billion budget per year, that is 0.005. What did I say? Oh, did I say billion? Oh, my goodness, thank you for clarifying. I would love to have $1 billion. 10,000 of 180 million, that is what I have right here. That is a 0.005%. I don't take lighthearted any dollar that we spend, but I do think it's important that we have that in context. With that being said, I do want to respond to the question of why. I do still continue to hear and be asked, why here at Rocklin? This isn't an issue, hasn't been an issue in Rocklin, is the statement I continue to hear. And actually, though, this is very relevant to Rocklin. And I shared this in that original night, but I want to revisit it. At the time of this decision, California Department of Education gave very clear guidance 2 schools, including Rocklin Unified, we fall under the California Department of Education, that alternative records are encouraged to be kept from parents. I will read you exactly what was on their website. To prevent accidental disclosure of a student's transgender status, it is strongly recommended that schools keep records that reflect a transgender student's birth name and assigned sex, e.g., copy of the birth certificate, apart from the student's school records. Pursuant to the above protections, schools must consult with a transgender student to determine who can or will be informed of the student's status, if anyone, including even the student's family. This is California Department of Education. This was their Q&A.
This was not part of our policy.
Okay. I'm giving the reason as to why I feel our policy was necessary. So this was listed on the website for California Department of Education at the time. This was direction that was being given to our schools. I met at that time with our superintendent and asked, because I had 2 teachers and a parent reach out to me. And they said, what would happen in this event? And the 2 teachers were very uncomfortable because they felt like the guidance wasn't clear. CDE was giving direction for teachers to knowingly go against a parent's constitutional right to know what is in there, to know of a change in their student's record. And so where the difficulty came is that these teachers and this parent from our district were concerned and asked for clarification. At the time, I reiterated that I felt Cal Ed Code was quite clear that parents have a right to all record changes. It's clear they have a right to record changes. I was told because of this conflicting guidance on the California Department of Education, it was not clear. And therefore, teachers were being put in an incredibly difficult situation. And so my intent of the policy that we enacted was to make clear that parents have a right in all circumstances to record changes for their students, for their children. And because there was a discrepancy, a misunderstanding of what would happen in this situation, I do think it's very relevant to our students and to our parents. And I want to be clear, the policy I voted on that night only is to notify the parent after a student's request to change their record in one of 3 areas. That is what the policy says. It is not to out to other individuals on campus, to other students. It is to notify the parent of a record change, which has been very consistent with the law of the land for our parents. And so seeing that discrepancy, that's what led me to this policy. Now, I find it interesting that since then, California Department of Education has actually taken that off of their website. It was brought up in court, actually in the case of Escondido School District, where a judge blocked Escondido School District from keeping student discussions from parents. It was referred to as a trifecta of harms. That puts us in a very difficult situation where now, after seeing California Department of Education have this on their website and then remove it after that court case where a judge said keeping information from parents would be a trifecta of harms, we are now seeing throughout the state parents are suing districts for not protecting their constitutional right. We're seeing lawsuits on the other side where parents are saying, I have a right, I expect you to uphold it. I no longer can say I'm not aware of this situation. Now that there has been public declaration from California Department of Education, in addition to in our own public meetings, individuals in our district saying that they would not notify a parent, that is why I feel to protect our district from lawsuits from parents, that it is very important we make clear that we support a parent's constitutional right. And that any change of that needs to be withheld up in court. So that's why this is important to me.
We're far off from what was posted on our agenda, I feel, at this phase in the conversation. So maybe we need to put it on a future agenda item. We could talk later. At the end.
I'm responding to the questions I received regarding this agenda item specifically. And actually, Michelle, there was a specific statement made tonight that this is a distraction. a parent's constitutional right is absolutely not a distraction to me.
That's not what this agenda item. We
That
are
was a
talking
comment you said
about
tonight.
Action to appeal the PERB decision, and that is what I focus my comments on because that's what we're discussing tonight.
Okay, so let me clarify. On this action item, you said that it was a distraction. So I'm responding to your comment on this action item.
Because you know what I do before a meeting like this? I'm not looking at, hey, let's delve into some of this about nutrition and go the extra mile, because you're right, we do have day jobs, right? I'm rereading ad nauseum things that we've already covered for this policy that is not in place, that now we're fighting teachers against. This is a distraction. I want to focus on the things that I talked about that impact all students, so I stand by that.
Michelle, I agree with you that there were many things I actually wrote down that I think we agree on. You talked about nutritious food, appreciation for the arts, academic learning gaps. We've discussed those. Because this agenda item is specifically about this policy and why I think it's important for us to defend this policy, I'm simply responding back to the comments you made. There are two other comments that were made tonight. That there has never been a concern here in the district, so why have this? I was simply responding to, I do believe there's been concern. Additionally, the final one I'll speak to at the moment is that there was a request, why not revise the language? And I would like to respond to that. The reason why I feel it is so imperative that we be clear is because revisiting the policy, I have not yet been able to have somebody tell me one of the three things that a parent should not have a right to. So if you could tonight could point for me one of the three areas where a parent does not have a constitutional right to know this information. And let me remind you, we are a unified school district. We have children that will be as young as 3 years old on our campuses. I cannot, at this point, consider revising it when all three of those areas, I fully believe a parent has a constitutional right to know.
Okay, well, we have districts that are very similar in makeup to ours that actually have policies in place that do address it. No, is it specifically discriminating against members of, the LGBTQ community? No, but does it inform parents of changes? Yes, I've brought it up at previous meetings to see if we can talk about it once it became clear that there were legal avenues to get something going. If you're really so concerned, why tie it up further? Why not get something on the books now? We don't have any of these three things that you're talking about. And we have never had that on our board policy to keep secrets. That is the difference in that case in Southern California.
It was a direction given by C to eat our schools, Michelle. So I hear you. It's okay to agree to disagree, but you made a request for changing the language, and I would just like to know then which of the three would you like to nullify that a parent shouldn't be notified of?
So if we want to put that on a pending agenda item, I think that would be a great conversation. We can look at some of the other changes and go from there.
Okay, so because of that, I stand by our current policy that protects a parent's constitutional right to know of any and all record changes.
Thank you. Do you have a comment?
So, thank you. Thank you for that. I think the challenge that we all work through is the intent, right? Like, at the end of the day, I don't think we ever intend any harm, any malice. We just want to clarify some things. The tough part of policy is you got to factor in all these potential possibilities when you're creating it. And there's always going to be one small part, one different part where it doesn't fit everybody. I'm sure our entire legal system since 1776, we've had to work through the different issues at different times. So this is one of those factors. We'll work through it. It's a challenge to go through it because I firmly believe that, and in the example that we had earlier, having the parent involvement with the child, with the school, working together with the teachers, you can have great success with it. I don't ever want to have any policy that pulls one of those pieces out. I want students to talk to parents, I want parents to talk to teachers, I want teachers to talk to students, and everything in between, so that we're all working for the success of the student, no matter what happens. I can tell that as we work through this, and we'll go through it, I think the challenge as a board member is we'll always get a handful of emails, calls, conversations in the street, conversations in the grocery store, and people want to provide their input, want to say, hey, I'm talking to you, I wish this would happen, you need to do this, or I need to do that, or et cetera, et cetera. So in all of this, we've gotten a handful of emails, and again, thank you to the community for the phone calls, the emails, the feedback that we got on both sides, right? Hey, I really, really support this thing. You guys should keep going. I think this is the worst thing you should do. You should rip it up and start over and don't even bother wasting your time. So I get all those perspectives. I can only encourage, and I think the challenge as we continue to communicate about this, I encourage all those parents, all those community members, all those folks that are in Rocklin Unified, especially those that have children in the school. Please reach out. Please reach out only not to us as school board members, but reach out to your teachers, reach out to the staff, start those conversations, have those conversations, and make sure your feelings are communicated, right? Obviously, we passed a policy. It's been about a year and a half, and we're still at about the same place we were before, right? In general disagreement. So if you as a parent truly want to know, hey, this is really important to me, it's a priority as a parent, reach out to your teacher. I know we've got back to school nights and those things coming up. Please reach out, please talk to them and provide that feedback to them, because I think as parents and teachers and staff and all of us talk, we'll get a better understanding of the intent and where we really want and what we really feel. And there's going to be perspectives on both sides. So please, please, I encourage all of those folks in the community and stuff, reach out, speak, talk. Got great opportunities coming up again with back to school nights. Please reach out to your teachers and the staff and let them know, hey, how important this is or isn't. And I'm sure there's people that'll be like, this is number 10 on my list of top 3. Fine, but I want to make sure that everyone knows there's the opportunity to reach out and speak.
Thank you.
I just want to say I continue to support this policy. I think it's a good policy. I think it came from a good place. And more directly to this agenda item, I do believe, I feel fortunate and blessed that we have Liberty Justice Center that we can go to pro bono, and I think that they will do a good job. I am glad that we have them. And I think some things were said tonight that I just want to quickly address in regards to this policy. There were some comments made that parents don't support it, and I think knowing how the board members, each board member feels about the policy, the public actually has supported it in majority through the election process, which is the proper process to show what ideas are supported and not supported. But I also want to say that I have had parents reach out to me from both sides with a lot of emotion. It's an emotionally charged item, and I very much respect both sides and have a lot of love in my heart for both sides. I have family members on both sides, but I do feel strongly about this policy and will continue to support it all the way through to the end.
Thank you. I'm just actually saddened by the misguided efforts to call this an outing policy. There's not one person on this board that would have voted for an outing policy. Let me be clear, not one of us. This was a policy that is written with the words student request. Education is a three-legged stool, and parents deserve a leg to stand on. I will continue to be consistent and fight for that. That is in the best interest of students, which is why we are all here. The PER board, again, is an agency that is five members appointed by the governor. We believe they acted out of their jurisdiction. We believe that our policy is lawful, and that's why we've made the decision that we've made. I still feel strongly about it, and we will continue to wait and let things work through as needed. Seeing no additional public comment, I will call for a motion on the legal services agreement with Liberty Justice Center.
So moved.
First by Trustee Counter.
Second.
Second by Trustee Hupp. Georgia, will you please call the roll?
Adriana Boyce,
Yes.
Tiffany Sadoff,
Yes.
Derek Counter,
Yes.
Julie Hupp,
Yes.
Michelle Sutherland,
No.
Rochelle Price.
Yes, motion passes. Item 9.8, Superintendent Stock, will you please present the vote for 2025 California School Boards Association Delegate Assembly Representative Subregion 4D?
California School Board Association's Delegate Assembly is a vital link in the association's governance structure. Delegates ensure that the association reflects the interest of school districts and county offices of education throughout the state. Delegates are elected by CSBA member boards in the region. The delegate is elected to represent and serve a 2-year term. Nominations for representatives to CSBA's Delegate Assembly were accepted during the months of November and December, and the delegates will begin serving their term in April 1st, 2025 through March 31st, 2027. Currently, Trustee Tiffany Sadoff is currently is a member of the CSBA Delegate Assembly for a term ending in 2026. The ballot before the board tonight is to be able to vote on 2 of the 3 candidates for the Delegate Assembly.
Thank you, Superintendent Stock. Are there any board comments or questions? Okay, seeing none, is there a motion to approve action on, let's see here. That's right. I think that we have to first select. It's just written here for a motion, but I think part of the board comments needs to be someone. Does anybody have any board comments or somebody's names they want to put forward?
I will make a motion for 2 of the names.
Okay, let me read this then, and then
Okay.
you can make your motion. Is there a motion to approve action on the vote for 2024 California School Boards Association Delegate Assembly Representative Subregion 4D Access Public?
I motion that we vote, nominate, I guess, is it nominate or vote?
Vote.
I make a motion that we vote for Jonathan Zackerson and Jessica Spade.
Second.
First by Trustee Counter, second by Trustee Hupp. Georgia, will you please call the roll?
Can we, I just am wanting to know, I feel like I've heard positive comments about both of the incumbents, Elisa Fong and Jessica Spade, and just wondering why we wouldn't continue to support those 2 incumbents.
Yeah, I just, given the background, given my knowledge of the candidates and the conversations I've had with them, not directly about this particular, but just in general from school board and just California policy, I think Jessica Spade and Jonathan Zackerson would be a noble vote for us.
I agree. I've had many long conversations with Jonathan Zackerson, and I know he puts in a lot of time and energy and effort. And same with Jessica Spade. I've had many conversations with her and feel the same. I think they're both very strong candidates, and I haven't with the other one. So I don't have any personal knowledge of that person, but I have had many conversations with the other 2, and I know of their dedication and commitment, and so that's why I would like to vote for them.
Okay, Georgia, will you please call the roll?
Adriana Boyce,
Yes.
Tiffany Sadoff,
Yes.
Derek Counter,
Yes.
Julie Hupp,
Yes.
Michelle Sutherland,
No.
Rochelle Price.
Yes, motion passes. Okay, item 10.1, Charles Douglas, Director of Nutrition Services, will now present us with an update on nutrition services. Oh, Mr. Flowers, you're just here for a minute. Okay, I looked up to see you. Thank you.
All right. Good evening, President Price, member trustees of the board, and Superintendent Stock.
Welcome.
Thank you for allowing me to provide the board with an update for nutrition services, with the emphasis on kind of integrating kit funding, so kitchen infrastructure and training fund. So I'll refer to it as kit fund from now on. That, and then universal meals as well. So, all right. So just kind of a brief topic, table of context. So I'll give you a brief overview of nutrition services. We'll talk about the meal count trends from when I got here in 2018 up until last school year. I'll discuss the differences between the 2021 kit funds and the 2022 kit funds. Some definitions that is provided to us by the state, and then some opportunities that we took advantage of. I will show you kind of a table that I use. It's called a scratch cooking project. So I'll show you a little later. Show you some pictures of some new menu items that we have done, as well as some of the equipment that we have purchased so far utilizing those KID funds. And then talk about the professional development that we sent some of our staff to over at Copia, which is a culinary institute over in Napa, and then some miscellaneous updates. All right, so that going forward, excuse me, just getting over the sniffles and stuff, so if my voice sounds a little rough and I cough, I got one down here, so appreciate it. All right, so overview of the Nutrition Services Department. So we have one nutrition service director, that's myself. We have an operations manager, Carrie Dean, a nutrition assistant, Dana Gamboa, and an admin assistant, Jessica Porter Perkins, and we all work out of the central warehouse over by M&O, a few blocks away from here. Also in that staff, we have a full-time warehouseman, Randy, and last name is slipping my mind right now. And then Randy has an assistant that works with him 3 days a week, so she's a part-time, so Melissa. So those are the staff that are works at the central, at the central warehouse there. Out in the field, over at the sites, we have 51 permanent staff, ranging from nutrition service workers 1, 2s, and 3s. So if it's NSW 3 is a lead at a secondary site, NSW 2 is a lead at a elementary site, and then everybody else falls under as frontline staff or nutrition service worker 1. So we serve 18 sites in the district. We have 12 elementaries, 2 middle schools, 3 high schools, and then we also service the Placer County Office of Education. I think it's called the Eye Care Program, so it's changed. So we service them out of Whitney High School as well. All right. So as far as our budget, we are a $7.7 million, have a $7.7 million budget, and we're 100% self-supporting department, and we contribute to the general fund through indirect costs every year. So last year we contributed $111,075 to the general fund. All right. So just kind of getting into meal count trends. What this slide is capturing here. So when I arrived here in 2018, what's that?
Sorry, we were saying that's a lot of lunches, Charles. Thank you.
Right. So when I arrived in 2018, we were doing a little less than 500 breakfasts, excuse me if I pronounced that wrong, breakfasts a day, and then lunch we served a little bit over 3,800. So with the advent of universal meals, which took place in 2022, and so just let me give you a historical context. So before California implemented universal meals, USDA had mandated, in their policy that districts or LEAs, which is local education agencies, had to serve at least 1 meal a day. And so districts more likely would serve lunch because you got a bigger reimbursement rate, and then you have more of your audience at school during lunch as you would before breakfast. So when California implemented universal meals, it mandated that we serve 2 meals a day, so breakfast and lunch, and that's for every school in the district. So whether you're a charter school or a public school or whatnot, you had to serve 2 meals. And if you didn't have the facilities to do it, they didn't care. It was like you had to figure a way to do that. So luckily, we had some of the facilities here, so we didn't go that route. So as you look at the chart, just kind of briefly, you'll see the increases in breakfast and lunch throughout the years. One thing you will notice in 2019 and 2021, those numbers are a little skewed just because COVID hit. And so when we had our, the way we did school, so one of my staff said we had 4 first days of school during COVID, because during each quarter or each semester, there was a different modeling, if you guys remember. So we started the school year at distance learning, and then we went cohort A, and then cohort B. Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Mondays was off. And then When January hit, it was, okay, cohort A was in the school for 3 hours, and then cohort B was in school for 3 hours, and then after spring break, everybody was in this class. So so those numbers were just kind of, so you can't really, it's just crazy when you look at that number there. You're right, so appreciate it. So, and then just one other thing I want to highlight here is when you look at the local revenue, so you see that number has dramatically decreased from 2018 and 19, and that's because with universal meals, so in 2018, we were doing a la carte sales. And so when we look at food service sales, like it includes a la carte sales, money that we collected from the students. So the paid students, we got their paid lunch or paid breakfast. Same thing with the reduced kids. We got the 30 cents for breakfast and the 40 cents for lunch. So with universal meals, that all went away. So the meal counts went up, so there was no money being exchanged. So another good feedback from that was the student meal debt wiped away. That was gone. So it kept going. When Barbara was here, the student meal debt kept going up. And so with universal meals, that went away. So it's at zero. So no parent should be getting calls saying, you owe me this, right? All right, so that's just kind of going over some meal count trends there. Excuse me. So let me get into the KIT funds. So in 2021, Assembly Bill 167 allocated $150 million state of California for school districts. So Rocklin, we received a little bit over $92,000 in KIT funds for that first round. And so here on the chart it says we got $67,000. So that was actually for training purposes, but then we also got $25,000 for equipment. So when you think about equipment, food service, how far is $25,000 really going to go? I mean, so we have double more training funds than we did equipment funds. So we got together and we let the state know, like, hey, we can't spend all this training money, you know? So so they heard our cries, and what ended up happening was they let us combine those two so we could use those training funds for equipment and things of that nature. So we got a base pay of $5,000, and then there was an enrollment formula that they used to give us the rest of the funds, and it was based off our meal counts from October 2021. So that was KIT Fund 1, round one of the KIT funds in 2021. In 2022, the second round of KIT funds, it was a little bit different. So Rocklin, we received a little bit less than $1 million. And so, but there was some, like a caveat, let's say, there's some caveats attached to those funds, all right? So we got a base pay of $100,000 with an enrollment formula from our meal counts from October 2021. So the first option was districts, to receive this fund, these funds, districts would agree to bill only the capacity to scratch cook. The second option, let me back up here. That was the second option. The third option was to attest to 40% of scratch cooking. So when you guys hear of scratch cooking, like I talked to Roger a couple of weeks ago, and I asked him, I'm like, say, when you hear of scratch cooking, what do you think about? So, he gave me his answer, and I was like, yes, and no. So it's typically, we don't use the word scratch, we use freshly prepared, and I'll kind of get into that a little bit as we go on. But in order to receive those funds, we had to attest that we would do our best to reach that 40% of freshly prepared meals. All right. And so with that, I'll go into some definitions that the state gave us. So when we say heat and serve, that's cut and dry. It is what it is. You take the food out the box, you put it in the warm, you pan it up, you put it in the oven or the warmer, you cook it, you serve it. Self-explanatory. Minimally processed. So these are items that are minimally processed. So we get things like products like cheese, that's minimally processed. When you get fruits and vegetables are minimally processed, whether they're frozen, canned, fresh, that's all minimally processed. All right, and then the third definition is freshly prepared on-site meals. So when we talk about that, that's kind of goes hand in hand with the scratch cooking, right? So, and I'm kind of skipping around off my chart, off my slides here, so that's just how I roll, so y'all just So when we talk about freshly prepared, so the first definition is for freshly prepared meals is you utilize foods in their minimally processed form or raw form, right? So that's like taking raw proteins, like raw chicken and things of that nature, and cooking it. So that counts as freshly prepared. So the other definition is what I like to call speed scratch or whatnot. So it's basically you're taking a combination of, let's just say like a chicken nugget, let's say per se. So we already know chicken nugget is processed, so to speak, right? But then you take that chicken nugget and you mix that with some minimally processed stuff. And so you combine those two. And so that's the other definition of freshly prepared meals. And so that's when we look at our menus and what we, our capabilities in the kitchen and things of that nature. So that is the definition right now that we are focused on when we meet the standard of freshly prepared meals. Okay. All right, and then just to give you some examples. So this comes directly from CDE. So if we have pasta with scratch cooked meatballs and sauce, that counts. Scratch made turkey salad served on whole grain bread. So like teriyaki chicken bowl with teriyaki bowl, with breaded chicken. So we already know the breaded chicken is processed, but then when you cook brown rice, so brown rice is minimally processed, and you put it with steamed vegetables, then that counts as freshly prepared. All right, and then a grass-fed, no fuller hamburger. So basically a grass-fed organic beef patty cooked on site is considered freshly prepared. All right. So when we looked at applying for this grant money, some of the opportunities, I sat down with the staff in the office, and these are some of the things that we kind of talked about. Okay, well, menu planning. What are some of the things that we want to offer? What can we offer? You know, what's possible? Can we find some easy recipes? So there's recipe sites, you know, with Institute of Child Technology. Institute of Child Nutrition based in Mississippi. They have some recipes that you can go through. Chef and Foundation, you can pull recipes off of there. So, okay, what can we do? Let's source some items. Okay, what do we need? Let's find those products so we can bring them into the district. Then we got to look at our equipment. Okay, what equipment do we need? So do we need ovens? Do we need tilt skillets? Do we need steamers, robo-coops, slicers, things of that nature? All right. So we went ahead and we purchased some of that equipment. Matter of fact, we're still in the process of purchasing some equipment. So we'll get there. All right. Our point of sale training. So we utilize the KIT funds to purchase a new point of sale system because our old point of sale system was pretty obsolete. So yeah, it was obsolete in our tech services, was letting us know, hey, they're more prone to what's the word?
Cyber
hacking
attacks.
and stuff. Yeah, cyber attacks and stuff like that. So we had to go get a new point of sale system. Thank you, Jennifer. So we visited other districts. So I love field trips. So I went and visited other districts, physically talked to people. Some of my colleagues, it's about 25 to 30 of us every Friday morning. We get on the phone since COVID and just kind of talk shop. Like, hey, what's best practice? What are you doing here? How do you handle this situation? So that's part of visiting, if you ask me. We developed a menu committee. So, and we did this mostly at our elementary site. So in the middle. The secondary sites, we always take some time out of the meeting to talk about menu. Okay, what do you guys want to see? What are the students calling for? Elementary is a little bit different. So we took, out of the 12, we took 3 or 4 of those leads and we bring them in different meeting other than the lead meetings, and then we do a menu committee. So that's how we kind of hash stuff out. We also use some of those kit funds to do food safety certification. So every lead in the district is ServSafe certified, excuse me. And that is a prerequisite. You have to have at least one person that has to be ServSafe certified in the kitchen. And then we took about 18 to 20 people over to Napa for a 2-day training over at the Culinary Institute. And so that was June of 2023, I think it was. And then last but not least, we analyzed and adjusted our labor needs. So it's like, okay, for this to work, what are we going to need here? Do we have to increase staff? And so just with universal meals, because we only serve breakfast before school at 3 of the elementary sites, 1 of the middle schools, and both the high schools. So like I said, with universal meals, we had to serve both breakfast and lunch. So there was obviously going to be a need to increase staffing hours to accommodate the universal meals. All right? And then we're constantly reevaluating and monitoring our processes. All right? So now I'd like to I'll show you some of the things that we purchased so far with our kit funds. So here we have a freezer on the left-hand side, a warmer in the middle, and then a refrigerator. And I forget what schools they are, so excuse me. All right. Here we did a combi oven and a mixer. So this combi oven has actually replaced the old combi oven that was at Whitney High School. So I think that oven was here when the school was open, because I didn't even recognize the manufacturer. So it's like, yeah, so we spent a nice chunk of change to get that oven, and Shannon, the lead, loves it over there. She loves that. So then we have a tabletop mixer. So we didn't get the sites a big mixing bowl that you put on the ground. So this is a 20-quart mixer that we use to make icing for the cinnamon rolls, muffins, sauces, and things of that nature. So, all right. And then here, so we decided 2 years ago to do our own sandwiches. And so at the secondary sites, every site has a slicer. And so we actually have lunch meat from Boar's Head meats. And so they come in the little roll or whatever, the loaf or whatever you call it. And so the staff goes ahead and slices that meat up in the kitchen twice a week. This here is on the right-hand side, it's called a RoboCoupe. So that's actually a mini processor. So last year, the year before, we did a tortellini salad at the secondary sites. And so it was a pain because the ladies were doing a lot of, utilizing a lot of knife skills, and it was pretty labor intensive to produce that salad. So this RoboCoupe here, you can kind of do everything or chop everything, because there's different attachments with it. So you can chop your vegetables and your fruits in like 5-10 minutes and boom, get that done. So they don't have to, there's no risk of, oh, I'm gonna chop my fingertip off and stuff like that. So, which I've seen. So not in schools, but in restaurants. But yeah, so it's actually makes the process a little bit faster. All right. So we actually purchased a golf cart, and thanks Craig for turning me on to and I forget the name of the place we got it from. But so this golf cart is housed over at Rocklin High, and the staff uses this to transport the meals from Rocklin High over to Victory. So beforehand, they were walking no matter what the weather was, they was walking across the street with a cart. And I had initially, years ago, had asked the staff if they wanted, but the 2 people that were doing it, they were like, no, we're fine, we'll walk. I'm like, you sure? I'm like, yeah. I only asked once. So, but when they retired and moved on, then the new person wanted the cart. So I'm like, okay, that's cool, let's get that. All right. And then the last big piece, this is the generator here, and I think we'll be starting, and that came about because of some scares that we had a couple of years ago with the power outages from PG&E and things of that nature. And so we have all of our food there in the freezer and in the refrigerator and stuff. And it's like if the power was to get shut off, then it's like, okay, but you still expect us to feed kids. So then I'll have to go out and buy a refrigerated and frozen trailer to put outside in the parking lot. So this generator should help alleviate that. And I think we'll start. We just had a meeting yesterday, and they'll start the implementation process on March 17th. So, all right. Some other equipment that we bought. So all of the elementary schools received brand new salad bars, with the exception of Quarry Trail, because that salad bar came when the school opened. So, so they got a new one. We also purchased some hydroponic farms. So there's some sites, let me see, AC, Parker Whitney, Rocklin Hill, Rocklin High, Valley View, and Quarry Trails all have some version or one or two of these hydroponic gardens to produce produce there. So, all right. Then we also purchased a temperature monitoring system. So I was telling someone, during the summer, when we have those triple-digit heat days, it makes the condensers for the refrigeration units work hard, and they actually go out. And so, like, this monitoring system alerts everybody in the office when it hits past a certain wherever the range is. So the freezer, if it hits more than 20 for an hour, it lets us know. And it's like, I was telling my wife, it's crazy because it'll be 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night in the summertime, and my phone is buzzing, and I'm like, man, what is, oh, I got to cut it off. So, it's a good thing, because that's a lot of investment over there in that warehouse, and so we don't want to lose it. All right. And then we also replaced some steamers at the few sites, and then the washers and dryers over at both the high schools. So those are some of the things that we have done with our kit funds. We're still looking at getting a couple of flat grills over at the high school so that can give them a little more option to do more things with the menu. All right. Now I kind of want to talk about local purchasing, and farm to school, things of that nature. So when I say local purchasing, I know Roger and I had a conversation. He was like, well, how far, what is, define local? So the USDA defines it as 400 miles, right? So, so pretty much anything within the state is considered local. However, most of our products are within this region. I don't know, there's not too many in Placer County, but there's some Sacramento County. So like Alicia's here is a burrito place where she makes fresh burritos and things of that nature, Mexican, and she's based out of Hayward. Cream Co. is where we get our organic meats from, our grass-fed beef patties from. They're based in Oakland. Fat Cat is a bakery located down here in Sacramento. And Spork Food Hub is a food hub that's based right there in Davis. So we had an opportunity to go and visit them and see what they're about.
Charles, do these guys deliver to you, or do you have to go pick up from them?
They deliver.
That's
deliver.
good.
Yeah, no,
that's good. Thinking 400 miles, my goodness.
That's part of
Who
the
has
service.
time for
You gotta
that?
deliver.
Yeah, good.
So those are some of the local companies that we've dealt with, and I'm always looking for more. So it's just trying to be more local. So we're still seeing what's the word I'm looking for? Supply chain issues and stuff. And so just kind of having more of an option to get some of those products from, we're still working on that. So, all right. So here next is just kind of want to show you some of the, excuse me, some of the fruits and vegetables that we've purchased. So here we have some organic kiwis, some blueberries. I don't know if you guys can see the picture. Down on the end on the first salad bar is some red leaf lettuce. So these are things that we use LFS grants from, so Local Foods for Schools. That's one of the grants that we participated in, and that's what I use to purchase a lot of the specialty stuff from Spark Food Hub, utilize that grant. And believe it or not, we also get fruit and produce from DOD, Department of Defense. So, yeah, see? So, yeah, so we get entitlement money every year, and so I take a certain percentage, like more, maybe over half of that, and I utilize and get produce from DOD from that, utilizing those funds. And down at the bottom, these are California-grown pomegranate arrows. We usually only get those like once or twice a year because the growing season is very limited. So, and that comes from a farm down in Reedley, which is a little bit past Fresno. So it's some coordination in getting the trucking up here. All right. And here I want to show you, so this is kind of, if I can open it, let's see. All right, I don't know if I'll be able to. Okay, this is board string, I don't know.
I know, I want some of that kiwi.
Sorry. Oh, no worries. So basically, it's not that serious. So basically, it's a tool that I use to. So basically, I have every month the menu items. So there's different tabs. So we have elementary breakfast, elementary lunch, same thing with secondary, and so it shows everything on that menu, and it has the 3 definitions. So there's a point for heat and serve, speed scratch, and freshly prepared, or raw or scratch items. And it just kind of calculates for us where we fall in that 40% range. You know, so I do that, try to do that month over month. So, but I can't pull it up, so we just move on. So, but I can send it to you, you know, if you guys want me to, just let me know.
Sure, that'd be great.
All right. And then here are some of the menu items that we've done this year. So first off, here we have a cottage cheese and fresh fruit cup, So that's a breakfast item. So that would qualify as a scratch item just because you have yogurt, fresh fruit, cottage cheese, fresh fruit, and granola. So that automatically qualifies because everything is minimally processed or in this rawest form here. Down below it is a carnitas bowl and with brown rice with, I forget the name of the vegetables in there, but it's a bowl, so it contains your starch or your grain.
Maybe like a corn salsa or something.
Yeah, it's now it's cilantro something, I forget the name, and then brown rice. So over in the middle here, we have orange chicken with brown rice with fruits and, broccoli and oranges. So just, even if it was just no fruit on there, the brown rice, because the rice is raw, so that is a minimally processed, so that would qualify as freshly prepared, all right? And then over in the top right there, we have what's called a hummus bowl or hummus plate. And so we have homemade hummus, and so that recipe actually came from one of our staff members, Rana.
Homemade, now you're speaking.
Yeah, Rana, awesome. who is the lead over at Sunset Ranch. So she brought samples from home that she did to one of our meetings, and so we said, okay, let's do it. So it's basically 5 ingredients in there, all right? And then we have string cheese, which is minimally processed, carrots, and then some Stacy's pita chips. And then at the bottom there, that's a BLT pasta salad with a breadstick. And so once again, you have, pasta that's cooked on site, so with vegetables, so that's freshly prepared. So that's how we're tackling that definition or complying with the mandate. I mean, not the mandate, but the 40%. So, all right. And then some more menu items in the top right. We have turkey sandwich with cheese on a croissant roll. So once again, that's the boar's head meat that we've done. And then in the middle is a croissant breakfast sandwich. And so here's the interesting thing. So typically, when you get a breakfast sandwich, or historically, it would be you get the English muffin, you get a sausage patty, and then a egg patty. Everything is frozen, so it's kind of you just heating and assembling. Excuse me. So what we ended up doing was, okay, we kept 3 of those items, but we took the egg patty off, and we have the staff do liquid eggs. So now the liquid eggs qualify as freshly prepared because it's not a convenience item or processed item. So just kind of like playing on their definition. So that's how we qualify that menu item.
Charles, how do you feel about processed foods for kids and individually wrapped meals?
Well, you can ask my staff, say, hey, how does Charles feel about IW products? And that's what, that's the short, IW, individually wrapped thing. So if you ask them, they'll say he hates it. They say he hates it. So, but sometimes there's no way of getting around it. So I do understand it. So like when we do our recess at breakfast, those are convenience items, so they're going to be wrapped. So there's nothing I can really do about that. So just pick your battles on some things. So and then back to here we have a blueberry yogurt parfait, and then down here in the bottom left corner, so there's jerk chicken. So that's just one of the spring menu items. That's I don't know if you guys ever been to the Caribbean, but like jerk chicken is real big down there. So it's a jerk chicken dish with brown rice. And then in the corner there at the top is a mango salsa that they did off the RoboCoupe. So we chopped up mangoes with onions and cilantro and stuff, and they put it with the jerk chicken. And then lastly, we have a Cobb salad there. All right, with the roll. See, it's with the wrapped roll, which I don't like, but that's a story for another day. Right, exactly. So next, I just want to show you guys some pictures of the trainings that took place down in Napa at COPIA, like I said, which is a Culinary Institute. So we did reach out, and I talked specifically with a couple of the teachers and directors, and came up with the class, so to speak. So they kind of went over culinary flavors. Global flavors, culinary knife skills. Can't talk. So, all right, and then a couple of other things. So here's some pictures from that. So everybody in the top left was employed here. So like I said, I had about 18 to 20 people. It was a two-day training class. So they got to spend the night down there. They said it was a lot of food. So when I asked them, like, what did you guys eat tonight? Did you guys go out to town? He's like, no, we still stuffed because we ate over there all night. So, right, and there's some more pictures. So, all right, so I'm not sure what they're doing in the middle there, but just looking like desserts. All right, and then some miscellaneous things here. So last year, I partnered with, there's a company called Dick and James. They do like snack crackers or cookies or whatnot. And so they actually put together a magazine, an online magazine for us. So last year it was called Wellness Wednesday. So for every Wednesday in the month of October, I highlighted a produce. And then I gave them information on what farm it came from. And so they dug up the information and put that online. So they did that for us for the month of October. This was 2023, 2024. So this year, we switched it up a little bit, and so we kind of did a harvest of the month. So for every month. If you go online here, you can go onto our website and then look at our Harvest of the Month magazine. So we feature produce for whatever the month is, and then the farm that it comes from, and then there's some also some information on it, like nutritional information on what that, like, let's say if it's an orange, okay, vitamin C, so gives you information on that as well. So that's on there. And then lastly, back in September, we had Assemblyman Joe Patterson and Trustee Satoff come out to visit Sunset Ranch. So that's a couple of pictures. So we had a nice, interesting conversation. Joe, Tiffany, and I just sitting there watching the kids come by and eat and things of that nature. And so it's just to give you an idea. So I sit on this committee. And so every year we meet at it's California School Nutrition Association. So we meet in Sacramento. Our convention is in it's usually in late March or early April. So this year it's the first weekend in April. And then we actually we spend the day and we go to downtown and make meetings or talk to the assemblymen and Senate people in the downtown Sacramento. So I actually because I work here, I'm assigned to Patterson's office, and so I met with his Christina, his aide, and then I invited him out to come out in September. So this weekend I'll be going to DC doing the same thing on the federal level. So just kind of getting out there.
Patterson making some lunches, right?
Yeah. Well, I asked him. I think I did say, hey, you want to serve or you want to be out here? Cool. So we chose to stay outside. So he was like, nah, I'll stay in my lane. So it's all good. So that concludes my portion of presenting or providing an update for you regarding nutrition service. Any questions if you have them?
I do actually have a couple of comments. So as I mentioned earlier, Trustee Sutherland and I were able to go and visit with Charles at his office. And previously I was able to go with Charles, drive around and visit some of the schools and some of the cafeterias. And a couple of things that are relevant about that. His people in his kitchens love him, and the support that he gives them is energetic and joyful, and as I'm sure you heard from his presentation, very thorough, and he is always looking for new and healthy ways to feed the kids and encourage the kids, but also to make the food fun and appealing to the kids are things that he's always working on. And I think maybe it's too soon to talk about the competition, but I would love if you could give a little.
Wait till next week, next Tuesday.
So maybe the smoothies. What was your idea with the smoothies?
So tomorrow, I'm doing my first smoothie day. So it's just an extra. So I'll take a bird mixer and I'll go out to sites during lunch and I'll just make blueberries and fruit smoothies right there for the kids, like a little 3 ounce portion. So whoever wants it can have it,
I told him we need a schedule.
Right. So I'm doing the first one at AC tomorrow.
What time?
Because I'll be out of town next week. I'll pick it back up Thursday and Friday, and I think it's Breen and then Cobblestone.
That's awesome.
And so we'll hopefully get them all done before spring break. So yeah, if you see me out there with the apron on and making a bunch of noise, that's me.
So also, when we met, I was asking you about our utensils and our serving dishes, and where are we with those as far as being recyclable or green?
Well, the 5-compartment trays, so there's no styrofoam in the district. Most of the serving platters, like trays and plates and things that they're biodegradable or compostable. We are going out to bid this school year or for next school year, so we will look at like disposables or compostables for utensils. So that I have to change that on the bid before I send that out. So I'll work on that by the end of the week. But for the most part, the styrofoam is gone. Yeah, so we just working on the utensils. And then also like a lot of the utensils are wrapped, so maybe getting rid of that as well. So it's work in progress.
Great. And then you also were talking about some of your goals for the curb appeal for the kids at the secondary level.
Right. So we've already started with that. So over the winter break, Rocklin High got a makeover. I didn't put them in the slides because anyway. And so Whitney is they got the floor redone. But so their makeover, it's a 3-week process. I tried to get it done during ski week, but Craig was like, no, it's 3 weeks. So I got to wait for the summertime. So,
June.
So we got, what's that? Yeah.
No, it looked really good. Everyone was really shocked when we went in, and everyone was like, oh, it looks so new. It was great.
Exactly. Appreciate that. So, yeah, so once we get the high schools done, I'll focus on the middle schools. And then I'm also looking at printing digital screens or digital menus on all of the sites. So the elementaries will be a little harder just because it's a multi-purpose room. So I have to talk to the principals to see exactly if they'll let me have an area or something like that. So it's, my experience is like, no, there's too much stuff going on here, which is fine. But so I'll start at the secondaries because we have more capabilities to do things there. So I have some things going, just got to get it.
So many ideas, trustees. I could not come up with a question that he hadn't already thought of. He has so many ideas and thoughts and always looking forward and trying to improve. It was really impressive.
Yeah, and there was one thing we talked about, I mean, in addition, to some of the packaging and things of that nature, but when asking about kind of obstacles to increasing the amount of food prepared on site, I didn't anticipate, your number one. I mean, aside from some of the elementary kitchens configurations, but time, right? The time that students have to eat the food, the time, now with having breakfast and lunch. Do you want to talk maybe a little bit about that? And
yeah, it just kind of so that was part of the juxtaposition when universal meal. So it kind of forced. So I'll put it this way. I'll put it to you. So when I got here, and it's like, I'm not trying to disparage anyone, but it's like, when I thought of Rocklin, it's like, okay, our staff was like soccer moms. So like we would do interviews and people would say, oh, I just need something to do while my kids are in school and things of that nature. So now Universal Meals comes and now we have to shift our thinking and we have to adjust to that to accommodate for that. So so we're still in that process of doing that. So, and one of the reasons why we do recess at breakfast is because a lot of my staff have small kids within the district, and so they wouldn't be able to get to those schools at like 6:30 in the morning and things of that nature. So that was a way to comply with that mandate and still be able to serve the district. But yeah, but things are constantly changing, so we have to, evolve. So we'll see what's next.
Again, thank you. All this did, and I'm a big guy, just made me more hungry. So thank you very much.
Let's go. Come on.
Thank you, Charles. It was
All
great
right,
getting to
appreciate
visit
you.
with you and see the kids so excited when they came out for lunch. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. You do a great job. We appreciate you so much.
Appreciate it.
So trustees, as he's shutting down, just again, as you can see, we've been really fortunate to have his leadership, and he kind of underplayed how difficult that was. That we served kids when we closed on that Friday, March 13th, 2020. That we served kids Monday, March 15th, and that was his leadership of making sure that students' families had food throughout that difficult time and getting staff there. So we were fortunate to have him. As you heard, he quietly. Didn't say, but he really is a leader in the area and throughout the state and nation of school nutrition, and we are very blessed to have him as part of our district family.
Thank you.
Thank you, Charles. I appreciate your energy and excitement for what you do, too. That means a lot.
Thank you to so many students that have waited the entire meeting. We are now to the last item on our agenda, that is public comment. So before I have a stack of cards for students, we have one comment before you guys, okay? So thank you so much for waiting so patiently. We want to remind everyone that this agenda item is to give anyone in the audience an opportunity to address the board on a non-agenda item within the jurisdiction of the board. And we are not permitted to deliberate or take action on non-agenda items, but may refer the matter to a staff member for follow-up. So we will first hear from Dara Warner, and then on deck we will have, I want to say it's Trick, Trulev, and Sawyer John. Something close to that. Okay, good. I got the thumbs up. Dara.
Hi, I'm Dara Warner. I'm a resident of Rocklin, and my daughter attends Whitney High School. Good evening, Board of Trustees and Superintendent Stock. I'd first like to start by thanking you for responding to my previous email and taking the time to personally call me. Additionally, I would like to thank Principal Collins and Counselor Mac Blake. The state of California requires 2 years of PE in 9th and 10th grade. 20 plus years ago, Rocklin School District decided 3 years of PE was required for high school graduation. I have been told Rocklin requires a 3rd year of PE to develop students not just academically, but also their overall health and fitness. Our children have been taught the importance of fitness since kindergarten. If they don't know it by their junior year of high school, then we miss something. 20 years ago, when Rocklin implemented this requirement, we didn't have the impact of club sports. We now have children participating 10 to 20 hours per week in club sports. Are you aware that Rocklin School District is the only district in the area requiring 3 years of PE? When parents are moving to the area and deciding on which high school to attend, they look at the curriculum offered and what makes the high school stand out. I can promise you a 3rd year of PE does not make our schools stand out. Starting with the graduating class of 2030, the state of California requires a semester-long personal finance class. Surrounding high schools, including Roseville Joint Union, already require the personal finance course to graduate. Why doesn't Rocklin start now? Is PE more important than personal finance? Wouldn't it benefit the students to have options and take additional fine arts, a second CTE pathway, or personal finance course instead of a 3rd year of PE? Currently, the Rocklin School District allows only one exemption from the 3rd year of PE, if the student is taking 4 AP classes. There are no exemptions if they participate in year-round club sports or a variety of other reasons that I don't have time to mention. I'm not here tonight to ask for additional exemptions. I'm here tonight asking the Board of Trustees, Superintendent Stock, Principal Collins, and Principal Davis to reevaluate
Thank you, Dara. Dara, I'm happy to have our director over secondary education meet with you afterwards if you would like. Okay. Okay, so we have Trick, Trulev, and Sawyer John, and then on deck we have Peyton, Francine, and Shay Bradford, and Adele, and Anna. This is impressive. I'm so proud of you guys for being so courageous. I don't think I spoke at a board meeting until I was like 45, so good job.
Dear all board members, I come to you to speak about the banning of Sunsplash. The 6th grade end of year Sunsplash field trip is motivation, something to look forward to, a rite of passage for all students at Rocklin Elementary. Many students want to go, and many of us students are upset that we can't because of reasons that don't affect us. The reason we cannot go is because of the body image issue based on a report made last year. If there are students who do not feel comfortable, they could just have that school day off as a one-day break and not come. This does not apply just to 6th grade classes. It applies to all the other grades, TK through 5th. They all look forward to this trip since they came to our school, and we know how disappointed we are, even more so for the other students in the grades who don't know that they can't go to this field trip they've been looking forward to most of their time at Rocklin Elementary. We all hope that we do not have to tell them about not being able to go to Sunsplash, and especially the younger students being extraordinarily upset. In fact, almost all the other grade levels have been looking forward to this trip since they joined our school and being more excited the closer they get to being able to go on this trip. To find out a few months before we go on the trip we have been looking forward to for years that we can't go was very upsetting for the entire class.
Thank you so much. Good job.
Hello, board members. My name is Sawyer John. I live in Rocklin, and I'm in the 6th grade class at Rocklin Elementary. And I, along with the others at the school, want to address the fact of Sunsplash, as previously stated. Recently, the district has decided to remove the field trip. And this is a big disappointment, as a lot of people have been looking forward to this. Not just us, but as previously stated, other grades as well. And main issue for this problem, as we know currently, is about body image issues. However, there are already methods in place for that. One example of this is that the field trip is optional. People do not have to go if they do not like to. Why would you decide to remove all people from the field trip, that including the ones who want to go, then the people who don't want to go can just simply remove themselves? And if it is a term of money, that is not correct, since the parents are paying for the field trip. So me, along with all the other people, want to argue our state, and we should be able to go to Sunsplash. With that, bring back Sunsplash.
Thank you so much. Okay, Peyton and Shea, Adele, and Anna. And then on deck, we have Trevor Costin.
Do I start?
Go ahead.
Ladies, gentlemen, esteemed parents, board members, and dedicated educators, I'm Adele McCall, and I am here to help advocate for the 6th graders at Rocklin Elementary. We were promised the experience and excitement of the annual Sunsplash field trip, which is a loved tradition that has been bringing 6th graders together for 25 years. We have been told we cannot go because of concerns about insurance and liability, but there are liability waivers to protect us and our school. We can overcome these challenges. Another issue to address is body image. We need to face this issue head on by teaching things about body image in class. If they are as problematic as we have been told, we need to problem solve these issues with evidence-based discussions that help us embrace our individuality and foster self-confidence. We can bring back Sunsplash Field Trip and create a supportive environment where students can learn, grow, and celebrate who we are. And we have together, this is signed by all of the 6th graders. It's a petition that says that we can go to Sunsplash. We're all okay with it. And I was wondering if we can do anything with that to help us. I made a copy if you guys can take it.
Sure.
Thank you for your support.
Thank you. Good job.
Hello, my name is Peyton, and I'm also from Rocklin Elementary in 6th grade. And I know we were all pretty much upset when we were told we couldn't go. And it's just a big bummer that that's the issue why. But we can not have to cancel our trip by putting in like a period in class for teaching about that. And like we can also do other stuff. I don't have, because other people are going to talk about it. But and I also think that canceling the field trip is just going to reinforce that we should be ashamed of our bodies when we really shouldn't. So, yeah.
Thank you so much. Good job.
Hi, my name is Shay, and I'm a student at Rocklin Elementary. The 6th grade field trip to Sunsplash should be reinstated. One of the main reasons this was taken away from us is because adults are worried about our body image issues. I understand this is coming from a place of care, but there are solutions that don't include canceling our field trip. I'm a 6th grade student who has known my class for a long time, and I would feel weird being in a bathing suit in front of my class. But an easy solution to this is for me to wear a t-shirt and shorts over my suit.
My hope is that adults in charge will let us talk about and problem solve our insecurities instead of excluding us from the decision making. So let me leave you with this. I'd rather you send us to Sunsplash with solutions than leave us at school sad. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Good job. Trevor, you are up, and on deck we have Evelyn Rozak. Okay. And Adele, did you already speak to us? Okay. And John? Let's see, it looks like we've got 3. Why don't you tell me your names?
Hello, my name is Trevor Costin.
Okay.
This is Jackson Bachtorf and Christopher.
Perfect. Welcome.
We live in Rocklin, California, and we are students at Rocklin Elementary. I'm here to share some thoughts on the cancellation of the 6th grade Sunsplash field trip. Last week, students were notified that the field trip was being canceled due to the California Healthy Kids survey that it showed an uptick in students being teased about their body, and this being a high-risk insurance activity. I would like to start things off by sharing some of the reasons why a 6th grader should be allowed to go to Sunsplash from the students who couldn't be here tonight. Number 1, students didn't receive any input on this matter. It was a split-second decision without any input. Number 2, it is an optional field trip. You don't have to go if you don't feel comfortable being in a bathing suit, although we can compromise. Number 3, the survey was last year, and the matter wasn't addressed until just now with no solutions, just consequences. Students might not be honest on these surveys in the future if this is how concerns are handled. Number 4, the trip is the talk of the school for everyone 6th through TK. Some kids have waited 8 years just to be told last minute they can't go due to a survey last year that has nothing to do with field trips. Number 5, we could come up with a dress code, such as no swimsuits and t-shirts and shorts for everyone. That way no one can feel singled out. Number 6, 6th grade classes have gone on this field trip for a long time with 0 issues. Number 7, after 8 years of school, kids deserve an opportunity to celebrate their hard work, and this field trip is a great way to show that. I would also like to bring to your attention the insurance. That was referenced as an additional reason why we couldn't go. We have heard from sources that other schools have the same insurance and are still permitted to go to water parks. We strongly hope you will support 6th grade students to bring Sunsplash back for us and for kids in years to come. Thank you.
Thank you. Good job. Did everybody have an opportunity to speak that wanted to? Do you have something that you want to hand us as well? Okay, same petition as we've got. Okay, this copy will be perfect. You guys, great job. And I understand and hear your frustration and your desire to have input, and everybody deserves to be listened to. So you guys did a really great job. I think that your well-articulated speeches are a testament to the excellent job that our schools and our parents are doing. So you guys did amazing. Thank you so much for coming and sharing. Does somebody else? Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. And also, Ms. Bradford, thank you for helping to coordinate, and I'm sure you were a great sounding board for them. You made excellent points. I appreciate all of you.
Yes, and I also graduated from Rocklin Elementary, and I remember my Sunsplash field trip. It was a great benchmark to kind of congratulate all that you've been throughout elementary school to kind of bridge your entry into middle school. And it just takes so much courage for all of you guys to sit through this whole meeting and come and speak in front of all of us. So thank you for all of you guys.
That's what I was going to say. I'm amazed and impressed with you sat through the whole meeting. Nobody fell asleep. Y'all stayed energetic. And you did such a good job putting your speeches together. They were very well articulated. You made great points. We really appreciate you taking part in this process and coming to this school board meeting. Great job.
And I just have to say, I just so appreciate your ability to identify the problem and come and communicate what you were told and your concerns with it, and then some potential solutions, right? You didn't just come say, I'm mad and I demand this. You came and said, I understand this might be for good reason, but can you please listen to other perspectives that we might have? And I think, wow, what incredible skill sets for you guys to have already. I think a lot of us could learn from you. I think you guys just did a phenomenal job communicating tonight. I was unaware of this, so I'm really glad that you brought it to our attention. But again, to the parents and teachers in the room, I just have to say, I am so impressed with the way you articulated, but you also came respectful and said, hey, here's some potential solutions. Can we at least engage in a conversation about this? So I really appreciate that. I'm under the assumption there will be continued conversations about this, or do we need to actually formally do something to make that happen?
We actually are going to have Dr. McDonald meet with them for a few minutes afterwards to address and listen to some of your concerns. So thank you again. We appreciate the time and the effort and the late night. Thank you guys, did great.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, item 12.1, our board bylaws require 2 trustees to place an item on the agenda. Trustees, do you have an item to discuss for consideration on the pending agenda? Okay, seeing none, the meeting is now adjourned.